Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling. Chapter 1. The Other Minister. It was nearly midnight, and the Prime Minister sat alone in his office, exhausted. His mind, clouded by the events of a challenging week, couldn't focus on the memo in front of him. His thoughts were interrupted by the sudden appearance of a voice from the painting in the corner of the room. The voice, belonging to a small, frog-like man in a long silver wig, spoke urgently. To the Prime Minister of Muggles. Urgent we meet. Kindly respond immediately. Sincerely, Fudge. Reluctantly, the Prime Minister agreed to meet the man, Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic. Moments later, Fudge appeared in a burst of green flames. The Prime Minister, though surprised, greeted him warily. Fudge, looking flustered, wasted no time in speaking. "We have serious problems," Fudge began, pacing the room. "He who must not be named is back." The Prime Minister, struggling to comprehend, asked if Voldemort was alive. "Yes, alive," Fudge confirmed. "He's returned, and things are about to get much worse." He spoke of the chaos unfolding in the magical world, from the Brockdale Bridge disaster to mysterious murders. Fudge explained that even the weather was manipulated by dark forces. The Prime Minister's frustration grew as he learned the true causes behind the events. Fudge, too, seemed overwhelmed, admitting that he had been sacked from his position after failing to manage the crises effectively. As the meeting progressed, Fudge revealed that Dementors, once used to guard prisoners, had joined Voldemort's forces, spreading despair across the country. The Prime Minister, shocked and horrified by the revelation, realized the true magnitude of the danger they were facing. Fudge tried to reassure him that new leadership in the Ministry of Magic would handle the situation, but the Prime Minister couldn't shake the sense of dread as the gravity of the magical world's turmoil sank in. Before leaving, Fudge introduced the Prime Minister to his successor, Rufus Scrimgeour. Scrimgeour, a no-nonsense figure, wasted no time discussing security matters. The Prime Minister's world had been irrevocably altered, and the weight of the unknowns ahead pressed heavily on his shoulders. As the two men vanished into the green flames, the Prime Minister was left with a sinking feeling, knowing that the magical world's chaos was about to spill over into the lives of Muggles, and nothing would be the same again. Chapter 2. Spinner's End. Many miles away, a misty river twisted through a forgotten village. From the gloom appeared two hooded figures with soft pops. A fox, startled by their arrival, fled, only to fall dead with a flash of green light. "Wait, sissy," one woman cried, chasing the other. "Go back, Bella," Narcissa Malfoy snapped. "I've made up my mind." Bellatrix Lestrange tried to stop her, but Narcissa pushed on, racing through dark alleys until they reached a broken street called Spinner's End. At the last house, a dim light shone. Narcissa knocked urgently. The door opened a crack. Severus Snape's pale, sallow face appeared. "Narcissa," he said with mild surprise. "What a pleasant surprise." She begged entrance. Bellatrix stormed in too, her dark eyes suspicious. Inside, the small sitting room was crammed with dusty books and old furniture. Snape gestured them to sit. "We're alone, aren't we?" whispered Narcissa. "Yes, aside from Wormtail," Snape said, flicking his wand toward a hidden door where a small, rat-like man cowered. After ordering Wormtail away, Snape poured wine for the sisters. Bellatrix remained tense, glaring. "I need your help, Severus," Narcissa burst out. "Speak," Snape said calmly, after ensuring privacy. Bellatrix hissed. "You cannot trust him. He's been Dumbledore's pet for years." Snape leaned back, unimpressed. The Dark Lord himself has questioned me, Bellatrix. Do you think I could deceive him? She shot accusations at him. Why he hadn't searched for Voldemort, why he had protected the Sorcerer's Stone, why Harry Potter was still alive. Snape answered smoothly, sip by sip of wine. I obeyed orders. I spied at Hogwarts. I stayed where I was useful. When the Dark Lord returned, my delay convinced Dumbledore of my loyalty. Information I've given has led to deaths. Emmeline Vance, Sirius Black. Bellatrix snarled. You could have killed Harry Potter any time. Snape's black eyes gleamed. To kill him would have risked everything. Dumbledore's trust was more valuable. At last, Snape turned to Narcissa. Now, what do you ask of me? Narcissa's voice trembled. Help, Draco. The Dark Lord has given him a task, an impossible one. Bellatrix scoffed. You should be proud. He's just a boy, Narcissa cried. It's punishment for Lucius's failure. She fell to her knees, weeping. Snape lifted her gently back onto the sofa and offered her more wine. There might be a way I can help him, Snape said at last. Snape answered smoothly, sip by sip of wine. I obeyed orders. I spied at Hogwarts. I stayed where I was useful. When the Dark Lord returned, my delay convinced Dumbledore of my loyalty. Information I've given has led to deaths. Emmeline Vance, Sirius Black. Bellatrix snarled, You could have killed Harry Potter any time. Snape's black eyes gleamed. To kill him would have risked everything. Dumbledore's trust was more valuable. At last, Snape turned to Narcissa. Now, what do you ask of me? Narcissa's voice trembled. Help Draco. The Dark Lord has given him a task, an impossible one. Bellatrix scoffed. You should be proud. He's just a boy, Narcissa cried. It's punishment for Lucius's failure. She fell to her knees, weeping. Snape lifted her gently back onto the sofa and offered her more wine. There might be a way I can help him, Snape said at last. She clutched his hand. Will you swear it, Severus? Will you make the unbreakable vow? Bellatrix laughed coldly. Empty promises again. But Snape only said, in a low, steady voice, I will. He knelt with Narcissa. Bellatrix drew her wand reluctantly and touched it to their joined hands. Will you watch over Draco? Narcissa asked. I will, Snape answered. And protect him from harm? I will. And should he fail, will you carry out the Dark Lord's task yourself? A long moment passed. I will, said Snape. With each promise, brilliant tongues of flame wrapped tighter around their hands, binding him with magic that could only be broken by death. Chapter 3: Will and Won't. Harry Potter snored softly, slumped by the window. For hours he had waited, watching the quiet street below, but sleep had claimed him, leaving his glasses askew and breath misting the glass. Around him, the room lay in disarray, spellbooks, feathers, apple cores scattered across the floor. Headlines from crumpled newspapers caught the light. Harry Potter, the Chosen One. Scrimgeour succeeds Fudge. Ministry guarantees students. Safety. Harry stirred in his sleep, a letter slipping from his hand. It was from Dumbledore, promising to collect him at 11 that night. Harry had waited, nerves prickling, afraid it was all too good to be true. The clock ticked closer to 11, and suddenly the street lamp outside blinked out. Harry jolted awake, peering through the darkness. A tall, cloaked figure strode up the garden path. He leapt up, throwing robes and books into his trunk, just as the doorbell rang. He froze. He had forgotten to warn the Dursleys. Downstairs, Uncle Vernon bellowed, "Who the blazes is calling at this time of night?" Harry heard a deep voice reply, calm and unmistakable. "Good evening. You must be Mr. Dursley. I dare say Harry has told you I would be coming." Harry bolted downstairs. In the doorway stood Albus Dumbledore, silver-haired and bearded, calmly surveying the stunned Dursleys. "Judging by your look of stunned disbelief, Harry did not warn you," said Dumbledore cheerfully, stepping inside. He greeted them all in turn, unbothered by their gaping silence, and settled himself in the living room, conjuring a bottle of mead and glasses with a flick of his wand. Harry hid a grin as the Dursleys shrank from their floating glasses. "Well, Harry," Dumbledore began, "Sirius's will has been found. He left you everything he owned." Harry felt a dull pang. "Oh, right. You inherit gold, personal possessions, and Grimmauld Place." Uncle Vernon's greedy eyes gleamed, but Dumbledore pressed on. Sirius's house might be enchanted to pass only to pure blood relatives, like Bellatrix Lestrange. Harry stood abruptly. "No! We don't want her to have it either," Dumbledore said calmly. "There is a simple test." At Dumbledore's command, Creature the house elf appeared with a loud crack, stamping and wailing. "Creature belongs to Miss Bellatrix. Won't serve the Potter brat." "Give him an order," Dumbledore instructed. "Creature, shut up!" Harry snapped. The elf gagged and writhed but fell silent. Dumbledore smiled. "Well done. Sirius knew what he was doing. You are the rightful owner." Harry agreed to send Creature to work at Hogwarts, where others could keep an eye on him. As for Buckbeak the Hippogriff, Harry decided he should stay happily with Hagrid. Finally, with his trunk packed and Hedwig's cage sent ahead, Harry stood ready. But Dumbledore turned once more to the Dursleys. He spoke lightly, but a chill filled the room. "You have never treated Harry as a son, yet by letting him live here, you protected him. That protection lasts until he turns 17, if he returns once more before then." The Dursleys sat stiff and silent. "Well, Harry," Dumbledore said, rising, "time for us to be off." He waved his wand, the door swung open into the cool night. "And now, Harry, let us step out into the night and pursue that flighty temptress, Adventure." Chapter 4: Horace Slughorn. Harry felt awkward walking with Dumbledore through Privet Drive, especially after their last heated meeting. Dumbledore, as usual, was calm. "Keep your wand at the ready, Harry." They apparated together, Harry's first time, and arrived in a quiet village square. Dumbledore revealed they were in Budleigh Babberton to recruit a former teacher. "We're one member of staff short," he said. As they reached a house, the door was broken, wands drawn. They stepped inside a wrecked sitting room. Suddenly, Dumbledore jabbed a chair with his wand. It yelped. The armchair transformed into a plump, mustached man in lilac pajamas. "Ouch, that hurt," said Horace Slughorn, grumbling as he stood. Dumbledore smiled. "Horace, this is Harry Potter." Slughorn squinted at Harry's scar. "Ah, I see. Trying to tempt me back, Albus." "No, thank you." Still, Dumbledore charmed him into sharing a drink. Slughorn gave Harry a curious look. "You look just like your father." "But those eyes, your mother's. Lily Evans, brilliant witch, should have been in my house." "Which house was that?" Harry asked. "Slytherin," said Slughorn. "But don't hold it against me." Slughorn warmed to Harry, boasting about his past students, important figures who kept in touch and sent gifts. Barnabas Cuffy, editor of The Prophet, Gwenog Jones, free Harpies tickets. "All these people know where to find you?" Harry asked, surprised. "No, of course not. I've been off the grid." Slughorn grew wary. I'm not ready to declare for the order, Albus. I like peace, and Hogwarts has become dangerous. Harry said quietly, You don't have to join the order to teach. Most professors haven't, and they're fine. Unless you count Quirrell, and he deserved what he got. Slughorn winced at Voldemort's name. Harry pressed on. Dumbledore is the only one you know who ever feared, right? He's never dared fight him directly, Slughorn admitted. And Amelia Bones's death, that shook me. Dumbledore returned. We've imposed enough. Time to go. They turned to leave. Slughorn hesitated, then called after them. All right, I'll do it. Dumbledore beamed. Wonderful. See you on the 1st of September. As they left, he turned to Harry. Well done. You showed Horace what he stood to gain. Did you like him? Harry hesitated. I'm not sure. Dumbledore nodded. He enjoys the company of the powerful. He forms a club around himself, weaving connections. You'll be the jewel of his collection, Harry. The chosen one. Harry shivered, recalling the prophecy. Neither can live while the other survives. They apparated again, this time to the burrow. Dumbledore led Harry aside to a shed. I'm proud of how you've handled Sirius's loss, he said gently. Harry's voice wavered. It's hard knowing he won't write again. Sirius gave you something precious. Don't lose it. And don't shut out Ron and Hermione. Share the prophecy with them. I didn't want to worry them. They'd rather know. And you'll need them. Dumbledore also revealed, You'll have private lessons with me this year. Occlumency with Snape too? Harry asked. No, Dumbledore said, smiling. Harry sighed in relief. 2 last things, Dumbledore added. Keep your invisibility cloak with you always. And remember, the burrow is under the Ministry's protection. Don't risk yourself. Harry nodded. As they stepped back toward the warm light of the burrow, Dumbledore said, Let us not deprive Molly any longer of the chance to deplore how thin you are. Chapter 5. An Excess of Phlegm. Dumbledore brought Harry to the burrow late at night. Mrs. Weasley, startled but welcoming, ushered them in. Tonks sat at the table, pale and withdrawn, her usual pink hair now mousy-browed. She left quickly, avoiding everyone's eyes. She's not herself lately, said Mrs. Weasley, troubled. After Dumbledore left, Harry sat down for soup. Mrs. Weasley examined him like a mother hen. You're tall as Ron now. Are you hungry? As she served him, Harry asked, Hermione's here? Yes, dear. And Ron. They'll be thrilled to see you. They chatted about Slughorn. Mrs. Weasley recalled him favoring students who climbed the Ministry ladder. Never Arthur. But even he makes mistakes. Arthur's just been promoted, she said proudly. Harry congratulated her, trying to ignore the scalding soup. Mr. Weasley arrived soon after, exchanging passwords with Molly to prove his identity. Mollywobbles, she whispered through the door, red-faced. Mr. Weasley entered, weary but smiling. They discussed counterfeit magical items and new dangers emerging from the panic. Harry asked, Is Percy talking to you again? No, said Mr. Weasley. Hermione quoted Dumbledore. People forgive being wrong more easily than being right. Mrs. Weasley eventually sent Harry to Fred and George's room, now a storage space for their joke products. As he fell asleep, he found a puking pastille in the pillowcase and smiled. The next morning, Ron and Hermione burst in, surprised Harry had arrived. They caught up. Ron asked, What was Dumbledore showing you? Just convincing an old teacher to come back, Horace Slughorn. Their conversation turned to Fleur Delacour, who had just entered with a glowing smile and a breakfast tray. She kissed Harry on both cheeks. "Bill and I are to be married." Mrs. Weasley looked grim. Ginny muttered, "Phlegm." After Fleur left, the room burst into complaints. Ginny and Hermione didn't hide their dislike. Mrs. Weasley was clearly hoping Bill would fall for Tonks instead. "She's more fun," said Ginny. "She's an Auror," added Hermione. "Tonks isn't herself either," Ron remarked. "She's been miserable since Sirius died." Harry kept eating, not wanting to talk about it. "Tonks thinks it's her fault," Hermione said quietly. "She fought Bellatrix if she'd stopped her." "That's not fair," Ron objected. Hermione explained. "Tonks couldn't even change her appearance properly anymore. Shock can affect magic." Mrs. Weasley came in and called Ginny away. "She just wants company to survive Fleur," Ginny said, mimicking Fleur's walk. Later, they discussed Fred and George's booming shop. "They're rich," said Ron proudly. Harry brought up Dumbledore's private lessons. Ron nearly choked. "He's giving you special training?" "I think it's because of the prophecy," Harry admitted. "The one they were trying to steal." He looked at them. "I'm the one who's got to finish off Voldemort. Neither can live while the other survives." Hermione gasped. "Are you scared?" "Not as much now. It feels inevitable." "Tonks isn't herself either," Ron remarked. "She's been miserable since Sirius died." Harry kept eating, not wanting to talk about it. "Tonks thinks it's her fault," Hermione said quietly. "She fought Bellatrix if she'd stopped her." "That's not fair," Ron objected. Hermione explained Tonks couldn't even change her appearance properly anymore. Shock can affect magic. Mrs. Weasley came in and called Ginny away. "She just wants company to survive Fleur," Ginny said, mimicking Fleur's walk. Later, they discussed Fred and George's booming shop. "They're rich," said Ron proudly. Harry brought up Dumbledore's private lessons. Ron nearly choked. "He's giving you special training?" "I think it's because of the prophecy," Harry admitted. "The one they were trying to steal." He looked at them. "I'm the one who's got to finish off Voldemort. Neither can live while the other survives." Hermione gasped. "Are you scared?" "Not as much now. It feels inevitable." They offered support. Hermione said, "At least now we know what your lessons are for." Suddenly, Hermione screamed. A telescope had punched her in the eye. "Fred and George's idea of a choke," Ron chuckled. Harry, grateful for their presence, felt a weight lift. They were still here, still with him. The OWL results arrived. Nervously, the trio opened their letters. Harry passed all but divination and history of magic. He got an outstanding in defense against the dark arts, but only an E in potions. Ron passed 7. Hermione had 9 outstandings. "Only 1 E?" Ron mocked. "Tragic." They celebrated, but Harry quietly noted the E in potions. Any WT potions meant no Auror training. He tried to shake off the disappointment. Still, he had passed. He had friends. He had Dumbledore's lessons. And that, for now, was enough. Chapter 6. Draco's Detour. Harry's summer at the Burrow was full of Quidditch and heavy meals, but grim news darkened the joy. Daily, the prophet told of disappearances, attacks, and deaths. On Harry's birthday, Lupin brought the worst gift of all: news of Karkaroth's death and more Dementor attacks. "They found Igor Karkaroff's body," Lupin said. "The dark mark was set over it." "The wand maker Ollivander's gone too," Mr. Weasley added quietly. Harry felt a chill. Even Diagon Alley didn't feel safe anymore. Letters from Hogwarts arrived the next day. Harry was shocked to discover he had been made Quidditch captain. "That gives you equal status with prefects," Hermione beamed. "Harry, you're my captain," Ron said with a grin. They planned a Saturday trip to Diagon Alley. Mrs. Weasley, nervous about safety, insisted Mr. Weasley come too. I'm not going there without him. On the morning of their departure, Bill handed Harry a bag of gold retrieved from Gringotts. Security's a nightmare, he said. A ministry car awaited outside. Top-grade security, Harry, said Mr. Weasley. You'll meet your escort at the Leaky Cauldron. Harry was relieved to see it was Hagrid, not Aurors. Just like old times, Hagrid roared, wrapping him in a hug. Diagon Alley was no longer the bustling, colourful place Harry remembered. Posters covered shop windows. Faces of known Death Eaters leered from wanted signs. The ice cream parlour was boarded up. Even Ollivander's was empty. They split into groups. Mr. and Mrs. Weasley with Ginny, while Hagrid took Harry, Ron, and Hermione to get robes. On the morning of their departure, Bill handed Harry a bag of gold retrieved from Gringotts. Security's a nightmare, he said. A ministry car waited outside. Top-grade security, Harry, said Mr. Weasley. You'll meet your escort at the Leaky Cauldron. Harry was relieved to see it was Hagrid, not Aurors. Just like old times, Hagrid roared, wrapping him in a hug. Diagon Alley was no longer the bustling, colourful place Harry remembered. Posters covered shop windows. Faces of known Death Eaters leered from wanted signs. The ice cream parlour was boarded up. Even Ollivander's was empty. They split into groups. Mr. and Mrs. Weasley with Ginny, while Hagrid took Harry, Ron, and Hermione to get robes. Inside Madame Malkin's, they encountered Draco Malfoy. If you're wondering what the smell is, Mother, a mudblood just walked in, Malfoy sneered. Harry and Ron raised their wands. Wands away, Madame Malkin shrieked. Going to get a few Death Eater pals to do us in? Harry challenged Narcissa coldly. Dumbledore won't always be there to protect you, she replied, eyes narrowed. After they left, Hagrid dismissed any concerns. They wouldn't dare try anything in Diagon Alley, but Harry wasn't so sure. They made their way to Fred and George's joke shop, which was thriving. A garish purple sign read, "Why are you worrying about you-know-who? You should be worrying about you-know-poo, the constipation sensation that's gripping the nation." Mrs. Weasley looked appalled. Inside, the shop was bursting with excitement. Skiving snack boxes, trick wands, daydream charms. For that, Hermione, said Fred, overhearing her praise, you can have one free. In the back room, Fred and George proudly showed Harry their defense products. Shield hats, instant darkness powder, decoy detonators. The ministry's buying like mad, Fred said. George added, you helped us start this, no charge. Back in the main shop, Ginny was fending off her brother's questions about her love life. Are you going out with Dean Thomas? Fred asked. Yes, she said flatly. And that's one boy, not 5. Then Harry spotted Draco Malfoy hurrying past the window, alone. Get under here, quick, Harry whispered, pulling out his invisibility cloak. They slipped out unseen and followed Malfoy through Diagon Alley. He's going into Nocturne Alley, Hermione gasped. They chased him to Borgin and Burke's, the dark artifact shop. From outside, they watched him talk to the oily shopkeeper. We can hear him, Ron said, pulling out extendable ears. Tell me how to fix it, Malfoy was saying. It's got to stay put. I'll need to see it, Borgin replied nervously. Can't. Just keep that one safe. And remember, Fenrir Greyback's a family friend. Malfoy left, and Hermione slipped inside, pretending to shop. She asked about items possibly being reserved. That boy, Draco Malfoy, he's a friend, she lied. I don't want to buy him the same thing. Borgin remained cold. Hermione returned, and the three ducked back into the alley. What's he up to? Ron asked. Harry stared at the shop. Whatever it is, it's bad. Really bad. Chapter 7, The Slug Club. Harry couldn't stop thinking about Malfoy's behavior in Nocturne Alley. That smug look on his face haunted him. "He's up to something," Harry insisted. Hermione sighed. Yes, it was strange, but it could mean anything. No, he was serious. What if he's a Death Eater now? Ron burst out laughing. "Malfoy? You know who wouldn't pick him? He's 16. I saw him yank his left arm away at Madame Melkin's," Harry said. "He's hiding the mark." But no one believed him. And morning of their departure, Mrs. Weasley was busy with Trunks, Cats, Owls, and Ginny's squealing pygmy puff. Aurors met them at King's Cross. Grim, silent men in suits. There was no Hagrid to greet them. As they passed through the barrier, Harry murmured, "Mr. Weasley, can I have a word?" They stepped aside. Harry confessed to following Malfoy into Borgin and Burke's. He threatened the shopkeeper. He showed him something, probably the dark mark. Arthur frowned. "We raided Malfoy Manor, took everything dangerous. I think you missed something." Arthur looked troubled but unconvinced. On the train, Ron and Hermione disappeared to the prefect's carriage. Ginny was already off with Dean. Harry, feeling oddly disappointed, found Neville and Luna instead. "Everyone's staring," Neville muttered. "You're both cool," Harry said, settling in. "You were at the ministry. That's more than most." Luna beamed. It was like having friends. Just then, a girl popped in. "I'm Romilda Vane. Want to sit with us?" Harry shook his head. "They're my friends." Romilda blinked, then retreated. "They expect you to have cooler friends than us," Luna said dreamily. "You fought beside me. That's all I care about." The train rattled on. Eventually, Ron and Hermione returned, grumbling about Malfoy. "He's not patrolling, just lounging in his compartment," said Ron. Harry's mind whirred. Something was definitely going on. Then a third-year girl arrived. "Invitations for Harry Potter and Neville Longbottom," she said nervously. Slughorn. They followed the invitation to compartment C, where Slughorn greeted Harry like an old friend. The chosen one himself. Around the table sat students with impressive connections, except Ginny, who looked mildly annoyed to be there. "What's she doing here?" Harry whispered. "She hexed Zacharias Smith," she muttered. Slughorn loved it. The lunch dragged. Slughorn quizzed each student about their relatives. Harry said little, but Slughorn clearly wanted him in his slug club. As they left, Harry muttered, "He only invites people with useful connections." Ginny shrugged. "At least he noticed good spell work." Harry had another idea. If he could sneak into Malfoy's compartment, he slipped on the invisibility cloak and followed Blaise Zabini. At the last second, he jammed his foot in the door and dove into the luggage rack, hidden. Below him, Malfoy lounged across 2 seats with his head in Pansy Parkinson's lap. "So, Zabini, who was in Slughorn's club?" Malfoy asked. "Potter, Longbottom, that Weasley girl." Malfoy sat up. "What's so special about her?" "A lot of boys like her," Pansy said pointedly. Zabini snorted. "I wouldn't touch a blood traitor." Malfoy looked sour. "My father used to be one of Slughorn's favorites. He probably doesn't know I'm here. Not that it matters. I might not even be at Hogwarts next year." "What do you mean?" Pansy gasped. Malfoy smirked. "Maybe I've moved on to bigger things." Harry's heart thudded. What was Malfoy planning? "I don't think the Dark Lord cares about OWLs," Malfoy continued. "He values loyalty." "You really think he'd use you?" Zabini scoffed. "Maybe he already is," Malfoy said quietly. As they began changing into robes, Harry was so focused he didn't notice Goyle reach into the rack. The trunk slammed into his head. "Petrificus totalis," Malfoy hissed, and Harry fell like a stone. Malfoy stood over him, smiling coldly. I thought I saw you. You didn't hear anything that matters. And he stomped hard on Harry's face. Pain exploded as blood filled his mouth. That's from my father. He pulled the cloak over Harry's limp body. They won't find you till the train's back in London, Malfoy whispered. Then he was gone. Chapter 8. Snape Victorious. Harry lay motionless under the invisibility cloak, blood dripping into his mouth. Malfoy had frozen him with a curse, then left him hidden in the train. He listened to footsteps fading, hoping someone would find him. But time passed and despair crept in. The train began to move again. Suddenly, the cloak was whipped off. Watcher, Harry, said Tonks. A flash of red light released him from the curse. Groaning, Harry sat up, wiping the blood from his nose. Malfoy, he muttered bitterly. Tonks didn't smile. Let's get you out of here, quickly. She opened the train door and leapt onto the platform. Harry followed, staggering on landing. The train pulled away, red steam vanishing into the night. Your nose? Tonks said. Stand still. She raised her wand. Episky, hot, then cold. Harry touched his nose, healed. Thanks. Put the cloak back on. I've sent a Patronus to the school. Harry saw the silvery creature vanish into the trees. That was your Patronus? She nodded. I'm stationed in Hogsmeade for extra security. They set off toward Hogwarts. Harry watched her in the dark, once cheerful, now grim and quiet. He thought of Sirius, but didn't speak. At the gates, he reached to push them open. Locked, Tonks said. Alohomora. Harry tried. Nothing. They're bewitched. Anti-intruder jinxes. Well, I'll just sleep here then. Someone's coming, she said, pointing. A lantern bobbed down from the castle. Harry braced for Filch, but then saw the hooked nose and greasy hair. Snape, he muttered. Well, well, Snape sneered. Late and out of uniform. I didn't have time to. There is no need to wait, Nymphadora, he said coldly. Potter is quite safe in my hands. Snape unchained the gate and gestured Harry through. Tonks lingered, frowning. I was expecting Hagrid, she said. He was late for the feast, Snape said smoothly. And by the way, I saw your new Patronus. Weak. Her face darkened, but she turned away into the night. Thanks, Tonks, Harry called. See you, Harry. Harry walked beside Snape, burning with hatred. He blamed Snape for Sirius's death, his cruelty, his jabs, everything. 50 points from Gryffindor, said Snape calmly. Another 20 for your attire. A new record, Potter. We haven't even had pudding. Harry clenched his fists. Snape sneered. Couldn't resist a dramatic entrance? They entered the great hall, light and laughter spilling out. Snape stopped him. No cloak. You wanted attention. Now take it. Harry stormed down the hall to the Gryffindor table. Where've you... Blimey, what happened to your face? Ron asked. You're covered in blood, Hermione cried, already raising her wand. Tergeo. She siphoned the blood away. Thanks, Harry said. How's it look? Normal, she said worriedly. Harry, we were terrified. I'll tell you later, he muttered, glancing around. Ginny, Neville, and even nearly headless Nick were all listening. He reached for chicken. The feast vanished and puddings appeared. You missed the sorting, Hermione whispered. Hat say anything interesting? Same message. Unity. And Dumbledore? Not yet. Harry glanced at the staff table. Hagrid waved happily. Trelawney looked odd as usual. And then there was Malfoy at the Slytherin table, acting out Harry's nose being broken. Laughter roared. Harry burned inside. So what did Slughorn want? Hermione asked. To know what happened at the Ministry. Everyone wants to know if you're really the chosen one, Ron added. I am considered something of a Potter authority, said nearly headless Nick, floating nearby. I assured them I wouldn't pester you. You're already dead, Ron muttered. Dumbledore rose. Silence fell. The very best of evenings to you. What happened to his hand? Hermione whispered. It was blackened, dead-looking. Dumbledore smiled and waved it off. Nothing to worry about. He welcomed new and returning students, then introduced Professor Slughorn as Potions Master. Potions, Ron echoed. But I thought, Professor Snape, Dumbledore went on, will be teaching defense against the dark arts. Harry froze. No. He stared at Snape, stunned. Dumbledore had always refused him that job. Snape merely raised a lazy hand to acknowledge applause. Harry leaned close to Ron. Well, at least he won't last the year. What do you mean? That job's cursed. Dumbledore cleared his throat again. As everyone knows, Lord Voldemort and his followers are at large and growing in strength. Hogwarts has been strengthened, but you must remain vigilant. Report anything suspicious. Above all, stay safe. He smiled. Now to bed. As students began filing out, Harry hung back. He didn't want to walk near Malfoy or face questions. Hermione was shepherding first years. Ron stayed with him. What really happened to your nose? Ron asked. Harry told him everything. Ron didn't laugh. I saw Malfoy miming something. He was boasting before that. Said he might not be at Hogwarts next year. Showing off for Pansy, Ron said dismissively. You don't think Voldemort might want someone at Hogwarts? Don't say his name, said a voice behind them. Hagrid, Harry said. You were late, Ron asked. I was with Grop. He's got a nice cave now, happier. Might make him my assistant. Ron coughed loudly, covering a laugh. You're not taking care of magical creatures, are you? Harry asked. Ron shook his head. You? Harry shook his head too. Hermione? She's not either. A guilty look. Hagrid would not be pleased. Chapter 9. The Half-Blood Prince. Harry told Hermione what he'd overheard Malfoy boasting about on the train. But he was probably just showing off for Parkinson, Ron cut in. Hermione frowned. Maybe, but if he really is involved in something, that's a serious lie to tell. They were interrupted by curious stares and whispers from younger students. It's rude to point, Ron snapped at a tiny first year, who promptly flushed and stumbled out of the portrait hole. Down in the corridor, Hermione confiscated a fanged frisbee from a fourth-year boy. Ron pocketed it once the kid had vanished, earning a giggle from Lavender Brown. She threw a flirtatious glance at Ron, who looked quite pleased. At breakfast, Harry and Ron recounted their awkward encounter with Hagrid. He thinks we want to keep taking care of magical creatures, Ron muttered. Hermione looked pained. None of us ever showed the slightest interest. Their guilt was palpable when Hagrid waved at them from the staff table, and they returned it half-heartedly. After the meal, students waited to receive their class schedules. Professor McGonagall confirmed their OWL results and allowed Hermione to continue nearly every subject. Neville, nervous and anxious, was denied Transfiguration. Your grandmother ought to be proud of the grandson she has, McGonagall told him kindly, stunning him with rare praise. When it was Harry's turn, McGonagall raised an eyebrow. No potions, but you wish to be an Auror? You said I needed an outstanding. That was Snape's rule. Slughorn accepts exceeds expectations. Harry brightened. Then yes, I'd like to do potions. Ron was likewise cleared, and the boys left the table gleeful about their multiple free periods. Back in the common room, Katie Bell congratulated Harry on becoming Quidditch captain. You've got to hold fair trials, she warned him. Don't just keep old players because they're friends. Ron busied himself with the fanged frisbee, sending it snapping around the room, while Crookshanks hissed. Their first defense against the dark arts class was with Snape. The room was gloomy. and the walls were decorated with images of magical torment. Snape addressed the class with disdain. "The dark arts are eternal. You are fighting that which is unfixed, mutating, indestructible." Harry watched Snape closely. Was that admiration in his voice? Snape continued, "Your defenses must be just as inventive. Now, nonverbal spells. What's their advantage?" Hermione's hand flew up. "The enemy doesn't know what spell you're casting. It gives you an edge." Snape sneered. "Copied directly from your textbook." He paired them off for silent dueling practice. Harry and Ron struggled, while Hermione deflected Neville's jinx wordlessly, though Snape offered no praise. When Snape aimed his wand suddenly at Harry, Harry shouted, "Protego!" instinctively. The shield was so strong it knocked Snape backward into a desk. "Do you remember that we are practicing nonverbal spells, Potter?" "Yes," Harry said tensely. "Yes, sir." "There's no need to call me sir, Professor." A few students gasped. Snape's eyes narrowed. "Detention. Saturday. My office." Later, Ron was gleeful. "That was brilliant." Hermione was worried. "You shouldn't have said that." "He tried to jinx me," Harry spat. "He loves the dark arts. Did you hear him?" "He sounded like you," Hermione said thoughtfully. "When you talk about facing Voldemort, it's about courage and quick thinking, right?" Harry stared at her. He hadn't expected that. Then Jack Sloper delivered a roll of parchment. Dumbledore had written, "Private lessons, Saturday at 8. "What's the password?" Ron asked, peering over Harry's shoulder. "Acid pops," Harry muttered with a grin. "Guess I can't do detention after all." They spent the rest of the day speculating about the lesson. Ron guessed hexes. Hermione insisted it would be legal defensive magic. Their next class was potions with Slughorn. Only a dozen had qualified for NEWT level. Malfoy was among them. Harry didn't have the required textbook. Slughorn handed him a battered copy and some spare scales. The dungeon was full of potion fumes and curious smells. Slughorn introduced 3 samples: Veritaserum, Polyjuice Potion, and Amortentia. "It smells different to everyone," Hermione said. "I smell fresh grass, parchment, and—" She trailed off, pink-cheeked. Slughorn beamed at her. "Take 20 points for Gryffindor." Ron looked annoyed. "You are the best in the year. Don't see what the big deal is." Then Slughorn revealed the prize for the best potion, a vial of Felix Felicis, liquid luck. The class leaned forward. "You've got 1 hour to brew the draught of living death," he said. Harry's book was filled with scribbles from a previous owner. One note contradicted the instructions. "Crush the Sapophoris bean. Don't cut it." Harry followed it. His potion turned the exact shade described. Hermione scowled. "How are you doing that?" "Just following the notes," he replied. At the end of class, Slughorn examined the cauldrons and announced, "The clear winner. Harry, you have your mother's talent." Harry pocketed the tiny golden bottle. Ron gawked. Hermione looked betrayed. "Not really your own work, was it?" she said stiffly. "Could have blown up in his face," Ron countered. Ginny joined them at dinner. "You're taking advice from a book? Haven't you learned from—" Harry interrupted. "It's not like Riddle's diary. It's just notes." Hermione cast a revealing spell on the book. Nothing happened. But as Harry picked it up, he noticed a line scribbled inside the back cover. "This book is the property of the Half-Blood Prince. Chapter 10, The House of Gaunt." Harry's success in potions continued to soar, thanks to the Half-Blood Prince's clever scribbles. Slughorn praised him relentlessly, much to Hermione's annoyance. She stuck to the official instructions and glared when her potions went wrong. That could have been a girl's handwriting, she snapped, catching Harry and Ron discussing the book. Yeah, and how many girls do you know called Prince? Harry replied. That evening, Harry checked his watch and stuffed the Quince's book back into his bag. 5 to 8. I've got to go. Dumbledore's expecting me. Ooh, good luck, Hermione called. We'll wait up. As he made his way through the corridors, he ducked behind a statue as Professor Trelawney passed, muttering about conflict and ill omen and a dark young man. He finally reached the stone gargoyle on the 7th floor. Acid pops, he muttered. The wall slid aside. Dumbledore greeted him warmly. I hope your first week back has gone well, apart from the detention, of course. Harry shifted awkwardly. Sorry, sir. Not to worry. I've rescheduled it with Professor Snape. Harry glanced around the office, uncertain of what to expect. Harry, you already know what drove Voldemort to try to kill you, but now I want to take you further back, into his past. You said you were going to tell me everything, Harry said quietly. And I have. From here on, we explore memory, not certainty. I may be wrong, but I believe what you're about to see is very important. He brought out the pensieve. Harry hesitated, remembering uncomfortable scenes he'd glimpsed before. This time, you'll be going in with me, and with permission. Dumbledore poured silvery threads from a bottle into the basin. We're going into Bob Ogden's memory. Together, they plunged in. The scene changed to a sunny country lane. Ahead of them, a short man with thick glasses, Ogden, read a signpost pointing toward Little Hangleton. He wore an absurd Muggle disguise, a frock coat, and striped bathing costume. They followed him down a winding path to a mossy, half-ruined shack hidden in the woods. A dead snake was nailed to the door. A man with filthy hair and crossed eyes leapt from a tree. You're not welcome, he hissed, brandishing a wand and a knife. He's speaking Parseltongue, Harry realized aloud. The man cursed Ogden, who staggered back with a burst nose. Another man, short, stooped, like a hunched monkey, burst from the cottage. Morphin, he barked. Ministry, is it? Gaunt. The father was defensive, proud, and openly aggressive. Ogden explained he was there about Morphin's illegal hexing of a Muggle. Gaunt mocked him. Inside the house, a girl moved by the stove, Merope, Gaunt's daughter. She barely dared to speak. Gaunt treated her like vermin. When her spell failed, he snarled, Pointless lump! Mend it! Ogden fixed the pot for her. Gaunt snarled, Perhaps the nice ministry man will take you off my hands, squib. Harry watched Merope shrink further into herself. I'm here because Morphin used magic in front of a Muggle, Ogden said firmly. And what if he did? Gaunt roared. Taught a filthy Muggle a lesson. He flaunted a black stone ring. See this? Been in the family for centuries. Peveril coat of arms. Then he seized Merope by a chain, wrenching out a heavy gold locket. Slytherins, he shouted. We're his last living descendants. Merope choked and gasped as Gaunt let her go. Suddenly, horses clattered past outside. Voices drifted in. A young man and woman. The girl called the shack an eyesore. The man laughed. That's Tom Riddle, Dumbledore murmured. Darling, don't look at it, Riddle said carelessly. Morphin hissed. Darling, he called her. He wouldn't have you anyway. Merope's face went white. Gaunt turned on her, demanding to know if she fancied the Muggle. Morphin sneered. She hangs out the window for him. You disgusting little squib, Gaunt bellowed, hands closing around her throat. Ogden cried, Relatio! Gaunt was blasted backward. Morphin lunged at Ogden, throwing spells and curses. They ran. Outside, Ogden collided with the chestnut horse of none other than Tom Riddle. The young couple laughed as he staggered away. Dumbledore tugged Harry, and they rose back into the twilight office. "What happened to Merope?" Harry asked. "She survived. Ogden returned with reinforcements. Morphin went to Azkaban for 3 years. Marvolo got 6 months." "Marvolo? He was Voldemort's grandfather." "Yes, the Gaunts were Slytherin's descendants. Poor, proud, and violent. Merope, as you guessed, was Voldemort's mother. And you saw his father." "The Muggle Morphin hexed," Harry murmured. Dumbledore nodded. "Tom Riddle. Merope loved him. Likely used a love potion. They married, but once she stopped dosing him, he left, never even knew his son." "She died in childbirth, didn't she?" "Yes. Alone and heartbroken. She gave up on magic and on life." Harry leaned forward. "Sir, does all this help with the prophecy?" "It has everything to do with the prophecy." As Harry stood to leave, another thought struck him. "Can I tell Ron and Hermione?" Dumbledore studied him, then smiled. "Yes, but only them." Harry nodded, then paused near a silver instrument. A cracked black stone sat atop a golden ring. "Sir, that ring, isn't that the same one Gaunt showed Ogden?" "The very same. You had it when you picked me up from the Dursleys. I acquired it shortly before, and yes, that's when I injured my hand." "How did you—" "Another time, Harry. Good night." "Good night, sir." Chapter 11. Hermione's Helping Hand. As Hermione predicted, 6th year was no breeze. Free periods were consumed by homework and nonverbal spell practice. Even Hermione was occasionally stumped in class, though nothing compared to Harry, who barely followed McGonagall anymore. But to everyone's astonishment, Harry had suddenly become the best in potions. "All thanks to the Half-Blood Prince," he told Ron, while Hermione glared. The workload was so heavy, the trio hadn't even had time to visit Hagrid. He'd stopped showing up to meals, and whenever they passed him outside, he pretended not to notice. "We've got to go explain," Hermione said one Saturday morning, eyes flicking to Hagrid's empty seat at the staff table. "We've got Quidditch tryouts," Ron groaned, "and that Aguamenti charm for Flitwick." "But I hate not talking to Hagrid," Hermione murmured. "We'll go after tryouts," Harry promised. He too missed Hagrid, though privately relieved to have avoided more Grop lessons. Hermione raised an eyebrow. "Come on, Harry. It's not Quidditch they're interested in. It's you." Ron choked on his kipper. Hermione continued briskly. "You're the chosen one. You've survived Voldemort twice. The Ministries finally admitted you were right, and frankly, you've grown quite a bit taller." "I'm tall," Ron said defensively. Just then, Hedwig soared in with a package, Harry's new potions textbook. An identical package flattened Ron's tiny owl, Pigwidgeon. "Excellent," Hermione beamed. "Now you can return that defaced copy." "No way," said Harry. "I've got a plan." He magically swapped the covers between the old and new books. The Half-Blood Prince's copy now looked brand new. Hermione pursed her lips disapprovingly, but she was distracted by the Daily Prophet. "There's been another Dementor attack, and Stan Shunpike's been arrested." "What?" Harry exclaimed. "Stan? A Death Eater?" Hermione frowned. "He was overheard bragging about secret plans." "He probably made it up," Ron said. "Didn't he once claim he was becoming Minister of Magic?" "They're desperate to look like they're doing something," Hermione muttered. Worse still, some parents were pulling students from Hogwarts. Eloise Midgen had left the night before. Dumbledore's seat at the staff table had also been frequently empty. "I think he's off doing something for the Order," Hermione whispered. As they walked down to the Quidditch pitch, Ron suddenly received a wide smile from Lavender Brown. He blinked and strutted. Hermione noticed, said nothing, and stalked ahead. The tryouts were chaos. Half the school showed up. Romilda Vane and a giggling pack of girls sabotaged the second round. First years crashed brooms. Several Hufflepuffs even tried out. Harry shouted himself hoarse. At last, he chose 3 chasers, Katie Bell, Demelza Robbins, and Ginny Weasley, who scored 17 goals and outflew everyone. The beaters, Peakes and Coot, were solid, but nowhere near Fred and George. Finally, the keepers tried out. Ron went last, pale green. Cormac McLaggen, broad and cocky, saved 4 goals. "Give me another go," he demanded. "No," Harry replied coldly. Ron saved 5. Ron soared into the air and saved them all, cheered on by Lavender. "You did brilliantly," Hermione cried, racing up from the stands. Lavender walked off sulking. Ron stood taller than ever, basking. As they headed down to Hagrid's, Ron bragged about a tricky shot he'd saved. "Looked like McLaggen was confounded," he added smugly. Hermione flushed scarlet. They found Buckbeak outside the cabin. Hagrid appeared in an apron, saw them, and slammed the door. Harry banged on it. "Open up! We want to talk to you." "I'm a teacher," Hagrid bellowed as the door flew open. "How dare you threaten my door?" "I'm sorry, sir," Harry said politely. "Since when do you call me sir? Since when do you call me Potter?" Grumbling, Hagrid let them in. They drank tea from bucket-sized mugs and avoided the barrel of writhing giant grubs in the corner. "I got those for Aragog," Hagrid said quietly. "He's ill. Dying, maybe." He burst into tears. Hermione comforted him awkwardly. Ron looked horrified. "I don't reckon it's safe for anyone but me to go near the colony now," Hagrid sniffled. Hermione offered help. Harry and Ron stayed silent. Eventually, Hagrid brightened, and they lied about how dreadful Professor Grubbly Plank had been in his absence. By the time they left, he looked cheerful again. As they reached the castle, Harry noticed McLaggen bumping into a doorframe. "If you ask me," Harry said to Hermione, "he looks like he was confounded." Hermione turned pink. "Fine, I did it. You should have heard him talking about Ron and Ginny." Harry raised an eyebrow. "But that's not exactly fair." "Oh, be quiet," she snapped. "What are you 2 doing?" Ron demanded, reappearing. They said nothing in unison and followed him inside. Slughorn was waiting. "Harry, what do you say to supper in my rooms? A little party. McLaggen, Zabini, Miss Bobbin, and of course, Miss Granger." "I can't, sir. I've got detention with Snape." Slughorn looked crestfallen. "Oh, I'll speak to Severus. He won't mind." As he waddled off, Harry muttered, "He's got no chance." Hermione looked anxious. "I don't want to go alone." "You won't be," Ron said sharply. "Jenny'll be there." Later, back in the common room, Hermione found a Daily Prophet article about Mr. Weasley searching Malfoy Manor. "Nothing found," she read. "He was acting on a tip-off." "Mine," Harry said. "But if the object's not at Malfoy's house, he brought it here." "But how?" Hermione challenged. "We were searched." "Not me," Harry admitted. "I was late." Still, all mails being checked too. Harry fell silent. There seemed no way Malfoy could have smuggled anything in. Then Demelza appeared. "Message from Professor Snape. You're to come for detention at 8:30. Rotten flobberworms. No gloves." Harry groaned. Brilliant. Chapter 12. Silver and Opals. Dumbledore was absent. Harry only glimpsed him twice in weeks, his chair empty at meals. The promised lessons had stopped, and though Harry tried not to feel it, a twinge of abandonment crept in. On a stormy October morning, the first Hogsmeade trip arrived. Harry sat in bed, poring over his Prince's Potions book. It was hardly a textbook. Scribbled spells and half-invented jinxes filled the margins. One entry intrigued him. Levicorpus, NVBL. Harry flicked his wand upward silently, and Ron shrieked. He was dangling upside down from an invisible hook. "Sorry," Harry yelped, grabbing for the book. "Hang on, I'll get you down. Libera corpus." Ron crashed back onto his mattress. "I'd rather you used an alarm clock," he grumbled. By breakfast, Ron had found the whole thing hilarious and recounted it proudly. Hermione, however, was unamused. "Let me guess. Another spell from your precious prince?" "Oh, come on," said Harry. "It was a laugh." "Do you even know what it does?" she snapped. "What if it's not ministry approved? I think this prince character's dodgy." Ron defended him. "Fred and George made up spells. And my dad used that one," Harry added, remembering the scene in Snape's Pensieve, though he didn't mention the target had been Snape. "Well, Death Eaters used it at the World Cup," Hermione retorted. "Dangling people helpless in the air isn't funny." Ron waved a sausage. "It's not the same." Just then, Ginny arrived and handed Harry a scroll. "It's Dumbledore's next lesson," Harry exclaimed. Monday night, Ginny, already heading off with Dean, called back. "Might see you later." They reached the school doors, where Filch was inspecting everyone with his secrecy sensor. "What's the point?" Ron muttered as Filch jabbed him again. "We're going out, not smuggling things in." The trip was miserable, cold, wet, and mostly pointless. Zonko's was closed, and Honeyduke's offered momentary warmth. "Harry, my boy," boomed Slughorn, emerging from a pile of crystallized pineapple, "you've missed 3 of my little suppers." "I've had Quidditch practice," Harry lied smoothly. "Monday, then. I've got Dumbledore that night," Harry answered truthfully this time. "Foiled again," Slughorn sighed dramatically. Hermione shook her head. "You keep dodging them. They're not so bad." They left the sweet shop for the 3 broomsticks, passing 2 men outside. One vanished into the storm. The other fumbled with a suitcase full of junk. "Mundungus!" Harry shouted. The thief froze, then tried to scoop up the fallen contents. Ron picked up a silver goblet. "This looks familiar." Harry seized him. "You took that from Sirius's house," he growled. Mundungus turned purple. I didn't." Harry slammed him against the wall. "Harry!" Hermione squealed. With a bang, Mundungus broke free and disapparated. Tonks appeared. "Don't bother. He's long gone." Inside the pub, Harry raged. "He's looting Grimmauld Place." "It's your house now," Hermione reminded him gently. Harry swore under his breath. "Dumbledore will deal with him." "Good idea," she whispered. "Ron, what are you staring at?" "Nothing," Ron said stiffly, clearly eyeing Madame Rosmerta. They drank their butterbeer, but the warmth couldn't ease Harry's anger. As they left, the wind sliced across their faces again. Ahead of them walked Katie Bell and her friend Leanne. The 2 were arguing. Katie clutched a wrapped package. Then, with a sudden shriek, she flew into the air. Her arms spread, her face blank, her hair whipped by the wind, and then she screamed. It was a terrible, anguished sound. Leanne clung to her legs, trying to pull her down. Harry and Ron helped, and they lowered her, thrashing and unseeing, to the ground. "I'm going for help," Harry shouted and sprinted toward the castle. He collided with Hagrid. "Hagrid, someone's hurt. Katie Bell, she's cursed." Together they rushed back. Hagrid picked Katie up and ran for the school. Hermione turned to Leanne. "What happened?" "She came back from the bathroom holding the package. Said it was a surprise for someone at school. I think she'd been imperious." Hermione comforted her gently. Harry crouched by the fallen package, now torn. Inside was a glittering opal necklace. "I've seen this before, at Borgin and Burke's. It's cursed." He wrapped it carefully in his scarf. "We'll show Madame Pomfrey." As they neared the castle, Harry said, "Malfoy knows about this necklace. I saw him eyeing it years ago. This is what he wanted repaired. He must have sent it." But he wasn't in Hogsmeade, Ron said. Could have had someone else deliver it, Harry argued. Professor McGonagall was waiting. Up to my office, all of you. Potter, what are you carrying? Harry handed over the scarf-wrapped necklace. Filch, she barked. Take this to Snape. Don't touch it. In her office, Leanne recounted the story through tears. Then McGonagall turned to Harry. Can I see Professor Dumbledore? He's away until Monday. Harry hesitated, then blurted, I think Malfoy gave Katie that necklace. Ron looked embarrassed. Hermione took a step back. Serious accusation, Potter, said McGonagall. Any proof? Harry explained about Malfoy in Borgin and Burke's, the conversation they overheard. But you didn't see him take the necklace? No, but he told Borgin to hold something, Hermione interjected. Malfoy said he didn't want to carry it down the street. If it was just a necklace, it'd be easy to hide. I think what he reserved was bigger, noisier. Harry protested, but McGonagall cut them off. Enough. Mr. Malfoy was not in Hogsmeade. He was in detention with me. Harry stared, deflated. Thank you for your concern, Potter. But I must check on Katie. Good day. Dismissed, they left her office. Climbing the stairs, Ron asked, So who was the necklace meant for? Could be anyone, said Harry. Dumbledore? Slughorn? Or you, said Hermione quietly. Harry shook his head. I was behind Katie the whole time. She'd have just handed it to me. Malfoy must have told her to take it into the school. Malfoy wasn't in Hogsmeade, Hermione snapped. He used someone else, said Harry stubbornly. He's got better cronies now. They reached the common room. The news hadn't spread. Everyone was damp, grumpy, and unaware. Not a slick plan, Ron said. Didn't even make it into the castle. No, Hermione agreed, giving a first year his chair back. Sloppy. But since when's Malfoy a genius? Harry muttered. Neither of them answered. Chapter 13, The Secret Riddle. The school buzzed with confused rumors about Katie Bell's attack. Few knew the truth, that she hadn't been the intended victim, except Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Malfoy. He knows, Harry muttered to them, but they kept ignoring his Malfoy as a Death Eater theory. Monday evening, Harry climbed to Dumbledore's office, half expecting it to be empty. But the headmaster was there, looking tired. His blackened hand rested on the desk beside the pensieve. You witnessed Katie's accident, Dumbledore asked. Yes, sir. How is she? She's still very ill, but lucky. A tiny hole in her glove let the curse through. Had she touched the necklace bare-handed, she'd be dead. Why Snape, not Madame Pomfrey? Because Professor Snape knows far more about the dark arts, Dumbledore said calmly. From the portrait, Phineas Nigellus scoffed. In my day, students didn't question how Hogwarts ran. Thank you, Phineas, Dumbledore said coolly. Harry. The hospital is sending updates. Katie should recover. Harry pressed on. Sir, where were you this weekend? Dumbledore hesitated. I'll tell you in time. And I saw Mundungus in Hogsmeade. I know, he's hiding from me now, Dumbledore said darkly. But he won't steal from you again. Phineas erupted in outrage. Stealing black heirlooms? He vanished, clearly off to investigate. And McGonagall told you what I said about Malfoy. She did. I'll take appropriate steps to investigate, Dumbledore said firmly. But now, our lesson. Dumbledore pulled a bottle of silvery memory from his robes and poured it into the pensieve. We left off with Merope Gaunt, abandoned and pregnant in London, he said. This memory is from Caractacus Burke, co-founder of Borgin and Burke's. The silvery form of a squat, ghost-like man rose. She sold us the locket, said it was Slytherin's. She didn't know its value, took 10 galleons. Best bargain we ever made. Burke sank away. She only got 10 galleons? Harry said, appalled. She was desperate, said Dumbledore, and I believe she'd stopped using magic. When Riddle left her, she gave up. She let herself die. She had a choice, unlike my mum, Harry said bitterly. Your mother chose to protect you. Merope was weak, not cruel. Now, shall we? Dumbledore poured his own memory into the pensieve. Together they dove in. They landed in a busy, old-fashioned London street. A younger Dumbledore, clad in plum velvet, strolled across the road. "Nice suit, sir," Harry muttered. They followed young Dumbledore into a grim orphanage. He met Mrs. Cole, a sharp but weary woman. Gin made her friendly enough to talk. "Yes, I remember. New Year's Eve. Girl staggered in, had the baby within the hour, dead within the next. She said she hoped the boy looked like his father. Named him Tom for the father and Marvolo for her own. No Riddle ever came for him. She was odd," Mrs. Cole continued, pouring more gin. "Didn't cry much. And as he got older, well, he scared the other children." Dumbledore asked gently. "Odd? How?" "Strange things. Billy Stubbs's rabbit, for one, hanged from the rafters. Then that summer, Amy Benson and Dennis Bishop, never the same. They went into a cave with Tom. Wouldn't say what happened." "Tom's got a place at your school?" she asked warily. "Yes, and he must return here every summer." "Better than nothing," she muttered. "Want to see him?" She led them up a bleak corridor to a plain room. Inside, an 11-year-old boy sat reading. Tom Riddle had Merope's dark eyes and the handsome face of his father. When Dumbledore introduced himself, Tom didn't stand. "You're not a doctor, are you? She sent you?" "No, I'm a teacher, offering you a place at Hogwarts." "Magic?" Tom asked sharply. "You mean what I do?" "What is it you do?" "I make things move. Animals do what I want. I can hurt people. I always knew I was special." "You're right," Dumbledore said quietly. "You're a wizard." Tom's eyes lit up with something almost feral. "Are you one too?" "Yes." "Prove it. You'll address me as Professor or Sir." "Sorry, sir. Please, could you show me?" To Harry's surprise, Dumbledore flicked his wand. The wardrobe burst into flames, then extinguished, untouched. "Where do I get one of those?" Tom demanded. "In time. But first," a faint rattling came from the wardrobe. "Something's trying to get out," said Dumbledore. Tom opened it. A small box trembled on the shelf. "Take it out." Tom obeyed. "Anything in there that doesn't belong to you?" "Yes, sir." "Open it." Tom dumped out trinkets, a yo-yo, a thimble, a mouth organ. "You'll return them to their owners with apologies," Dumbledore said sternly. "We do not tolerate theft." Tom didn't even look ashamed. "At Hogwarts, we'll teach you to control your magic," Dumbledore continued. "Using it to hurt or frighten is not acceptable." "Yes, sir." "I haven't got money," Tom said bluntly. Dumbledore handed him a pouch. "There's a fund for that." "I don't need help," Tom muttered. "I'm used to doing things myself." He accepted directions to Diagon Alley reluctantly. Then, "Was my father a wizard? His name was Tom Riddle, too." "I don't know," said Dumbledore softly. "My mother can't have been, or she wouldn't have died." Tom turned to go, then paused. "I can talk to snakes," he said, eyes gleaming. "They whisper to me. Is that normal?" "It's unusual," Dumbledore said, studying him, "but not unheard of." With that, they parted. Harry rose with present-day Dumbledore in his office. "Once more." "He believed it faster than I did," Harry said. "Because he always believed he was special," Dumbledore replied. "You didn't know he'd become—" "No, but I was intrigued. He was powerful, even as a child. and he used it to control and punish. He's a parcel mouth, too, Harry said. Yes, and that didn't trouble me as much as his desire to dominate. He showed no interest in friends. He operated alone, just like the man he'd become. Dumbledore's voice softened. He even collected trophies, you noticed? Stolen trinkets like souvenirs. That will matter later. Harry stood. His eyes fell on the table where Marvolo's ring had been. The ring's gone, he said. I thought you might have the mouth organ or something. Dumbledore chuckled. Very astute. But the mouth organ was only ever a mouth organ. Harry left, mind racing. Chapter 14, Felix Felicis. The morning after his lesson with Dumbledore, Harry recounted the memory of young Tom Riddle to Ron and Hermione on the way to herbology. The mist had returned, lending an eerie quiet to the grounds. Wow, scary thought, the boy you know who, said Ron as he tugged on his gloves. I still don't see why Dumbledore's showing you all this, he added. It's interesting and all, but what's the point? He says it'll help me survive, said Harry. I think it's fascinating, said Hermione, eyes wide behind her goggles. Knowing Voldemort's past could be the key to defeating him. Their conversation ended when Professor Sprout bustled over. You're lagging behind. Neville's already got his first pod. A Snargaluff stump exploded with thorny vines as the trio began their work. It fought fiercely until Hermione managed to extract a pulsating green pod. Not putting these in my garden, muttered Ron, wiping sweat from his face. Hermione handed Harry the pod with visible disgust. Don't be squeamish. Squeeze it out, called Sprout. Anyway, Hermione said as if nothing had interrupted her, Slughorn's throwing a Christmas party. He asked me to check when you're free, Harry, so you can't skip this one. Ron frowned. Just for the Slug Club, then? Hermione nodded. Ron's pod shot out and struck Professor Sprout on the head. While Harry retrieved it, Hermione added with a blush, We can bring guests. I was going to ask you. You were going to ask me? Said Ron. Yes, but if you'd rather I went with McLaggen. No, I wouldn't, Ron said quickly. Harry, grateful for the change of subject, slammed the pod onto the table louder than necessary. He couldn't help but feel uneasy. If Ron and Hermione got together and then broke up after class, Harry focused on Quidditch. Katie Bell was still hospitalized, and he needed a new chaser. He asked Dean Thomas, though it made Seamus scowl. That evening, Dean flew well, pairing easily with Ginny and Demelza. But Ron was a wreck. He let in 6 goals, then accidentally punched Demelza. Panicked, Ginny muttered, examining Demelza's bleeding mouth. Ginny, don't call Ron a prat, Harry said, casting a healing charm. You're not team captain. Well, you seemed too busy to call him one, she shot back. That night, Ron was despondent. I played like dragon dung, he mumbled in the changing room. You're the best keeper I tried out, said Harry. It's just nerves. They walked back to the common room, but stopped short. Dean and Ginny were kissing in a shadowed corridor. A furious heat burst in Harry's chest. The monster inside him wanted to jinx Dean into a jelly. Oi, Ron bellowed. I don't want to see my sister snogging in public. Ginny snapped. This was a deserted corridor till you came butting in. As Dean left awkwardly, she turned on Ron. It's none of your business who I go out with. Yeah, it is, Ron shouted. What are people going to say? A what? Ginny yelled, brandishing her wand. Say it. Don't, Harry warned Ron. Oh, yes, he does, Ginny snapped at Harry. Just because he's never snogged anyone. Best kiss he's had is from Auntie Muriel. Shut your mouth, Ron shouted. No, I won't. You go mooning over Flem every time she walks into the room. Get some snogging of your own, and maybe you won't be so bitter. Harry stood between them, arms outstretched. Been kissing Pigwidgeon, have you? Ginny screamed. A jinx narrowly missed her. Harry snogged Cho Chang, and Hermione snogged Crumb. It's only you who acts like it's disgusting. She stormed off. Ron and Harry stood in seething silence. Mrs. Norris padded around the corner, followed by Filch's echoing footsteps. Later, Ron muttered, "Do you think Hermione did snog Crumb?" Harry hesitated. Yeah. Dilligrout, Ron told the fat lady darkly, and climbed into the common room. By morning, Ron was lashing out at everyone, even Hermione, whose patience wore thin. Ron's foul mood spread to the Quidditch pitch, where he let in every goal and reduced Demelza to tears. "I resign," he told Harry afterward. "I'm pathetic." "You're not. You just need confidence," Harry said. But nothing worked. Not encouragement, not anger. Ron went to bed hopeless. Then, in the middle of the night, inspiration struck Harry. At breakfast, Harry offered Ron pumpkin juice. "Don't drink that," Hermione shouted. "You just spiked his drink." Harry slipped the little bottle of Felix Felicis into his pocket. "Stop bossing me around," Ron said, downing it. Hermione's eyes burned with betrayal. "You should be expelled," she whispered. "I can't believe it." "Hark who's talking." Harry shot back. "Confunded anyone lately?" Later, as they suited up for the match, Ginny grinned. "Malfoy's sick. Harper's playing instead. He's rubbish." "Fishy, isn't it?" Harry murmured to Ron. "Malfoy not playing." Ron looked stunned. "You didn't spike my drink?" Harry smiled. "You'd better get your boots on." Gryffindor played like champions. Ron blocked shot after shot, and Ginny led the scoring. Even Zacharias Smith's jeering commentary couldn't dim their performance. With Slytherin's Harper closing in on the snitch, Harry shouted, "How much did Malfoy pay you to come on instead of him?" Harper fumbled. Harry seized the snitch. Gryffindor had won. As the team erupted into cheers, Ginny forgot to brake and crashed into Zacharias' podium. Harry hugged her and quickly let go. Later, back in the changing room, Hermione entered, twisting her scarf. "You shouldn't have done it, Harry. Felix Felicis is banned in competitions." "I didn't," said Harry, showing her the untouched bottle. "Ron just thought I did." "You didn't spike my drink?" Ron asked, stunned. "Nope. You saved everything because you believed you could." Ron beamed, then turned triumphantly to Hermione. "See, I don't need help." "I never said you did," Hermione shouted, hurt flashing across her face. She stormed out. The party in the common room was wild, but Hermione was nowhere to be seen. Ginny pointed out Ron and Lavender locked in a kiss. "Filthy hypocrite," she muttered. Harry's stomach twisted. He spotted bushy hair vanish out the portrait hole and followed. He found Hermione in a classroom, yellow canaries circling her head. "Ron seems to be enjoying the celebrations," she said coldly. Then Ron burst in hand with Lavender. "Oops," said Lavender, retreating. Ron grinned. "Hi, Harry." Hermione stepped forward, wand raised. "A pugno!" The canaries darted toward Ron in a golden fury. He covered his face, yelping. Hermione disappeared, and the door slammed shut. Chapter 15, The Unbreakable Vow. Snow swirled against the windows as Christmas approached. The castle was alive with decorations, mistletoe, and whispers of love potions targeting Harry, much to his alarm. He was skilled enough with Hogwarts' secret passages to avoid the mistletoe-clogged corridors. Ron found this hilarious now, unlike his earlier jealousy. But his new cheerfulness came at a cost. Constant presence of Lavender Brown and his worsening feud with Hermione. Her heartbreak over Ron's relationship with Lavender led to bitter silences, whispered warnings to Harry about admirers plotting to spike his drinks, and tense library meetings. They're all trying to trick you into taking them to Slughorn's party, Hermione warned. Be careful what you drink. She even suggested Harry invite someone to the party just to ward off others. When he asked Luna, she beamed with delight. Nobody's ever asked me to a party before. Is that why you dyed your eyebrow? At dinner, Ron scoffed at Harry's choice. You could have taken anyone, and you chose Loony Lovegood? Ginny snapped. Don't call her that. I'm glad he's taking her. Hermione, meanwhile, made a dramatic point by accepting a date with McLaggen. She acted cheerful, but it was clear she wanted Ron to notice. Ron's blank stare and silence confirmed that he had. At the party, Luna wore spangled silver robes and her usual dreamy expression. The office glowed with gold light, fairy lamps. And chatter. Harry, my boy, boomed Slughorn. He dragged Harry to meet a vampire and a pushy writer named Wurple. You must let me write your biography, Wurple insisted. Harry escaped with Luna to find Hermione. She looked harried. At dinner, Ron scoffed at Harry's choice. You could have taken anyone, and you chose Loony Lovegood? Ginny snapped. Don't call her that. I'm glad he's taking her. Hermione, meanwhile, made a dramatic point by accepting a date with McLaggen. She acted cheerful, but it was clear she wanted Ron to notice. Ron's blank stare and silence confirmed that he had. At the party, Luna wore spangled silver robes and her usual dreamy expression. The office glowed with gold light, fairy lamps, and chatter. Harry, my boy, boomed Slughorn. He dragged Harry to meet a vampire and a pushy writer named Wurple. You must let me write your biography, Wurple insisted. Harry escaped with Luna to find Hermione. She looked harried. Escaped from McLaggen under the mistletoe, she said dryly. They were interrupted by Professor Trelawney, tipsy and ranting about sharing classes with Firenze. Hermione and Harry ducked away, arguing briefly about Quidditch and McLaggen. He hasn't asked me anything about myself, Hermione snapped. Only his own saves. McLaggen soon appeared, searching for her. Hermione vanished. Luna took over with her usual odd observations. Aurors are part of the Rotfang conspiracy, she declared. They're trying to bring down the ministry with gum disease. Harry couldn't help laughing. Malfoy then arrived, dragged by Filch. He'd tried to sneak into the party. Slughorn, in a festive mood, let it slide. But something about Malfoy's pale face and tense manner unsettled Harry. Snape quietly told Malfoy, I'd like a word. Harry followed under his invisibility cloak. He found the classroom door just in time to eavesdrop. I didn't have anything to do with it, Malfoy said. Snape was calm, but insistent. You're making mistakes. I made an unbreakable vow to protect you. Then you'll have to break it, Malfoy spat. I've got a plan. I'm doing it. Snape pushed. I can help you. You just want to steal my glory, Malfoy shouted. There was a scuffle. Malfoy stormed out. Snape emerged, composed, and returned to the party. Harry crouched silently beneath his cloak, his mind racing with what he had just heard. Chapter 16. A very frosty Christmas. Snow fell gently outside the burrow as Harry and Ron peeled sprouts for Mrs. Weasley. They spoke in low voices about what Harry had overheard between Snape and Malfoy. Snape made an unbreakable vow to protect Malfoy, Harry said. You die if you break one, Ron muttered, eyes wide. Fred and George barged in, teasing Ron about Lavender. What happened? Did she fall on her head? Mrs. Weasley entered just in time to scold Ron for hurling a knife at Fred. She bustled about, assigning rooms for Christmas guests, mentioning that Percy would not be joining them. That night, Harry confided in Ron, I'm going to tell Dumbledore about Snape and Malfoy, maybe even your dad. They'll just say Snape was trying to find out Malfoy's plan, Ron said, though he added quickly, "But I believe you." Christmas Eve came, the burrow glowing with warmth and too many paper chains. Mrs. Weasley teared up over a song, while Fred and George played games. Lupin sat by the fire, quiet and pale. Later, Harry spoke to Mr. Weasley about Snape and Malfoy. Lupin joined the conversation, defending Snape. "Dumbledore trusts him, so do I," Lupin said. "But what if he's wrong?" Harry asked. "Then it's Dumbledore's responsibility," Lupin replied calmly. They discussed Lupin's secret mission among werewolves. "They follow Greyback. He wants to raise children to hate wizards," Lupin said. "He get me." Harry was shocked. "You were just a kid?" Lupin nodded. "He did it deliberately. I try to reason with them, but it's hard against Greyback's promise of blood." Harry then asked about the Half-Blood Prince. Lupin recalled the Levicorpus spell. "It was popular in my 5th year," he said, but denied knowing who the prince was. James was a pureblood. He never called himself a prince. Christmas morning arrived with gifts. Harry got a snitch sweater from Mrs. Weasley and a box from Creature full of maggots. Ron received a gaudy chain from Lavender declaring, "My sweetheart." "Nice," Harry laughed. "You should wear that in front of Fred and George." At lunch, everyone wore new sweaters. Fleur did not. Mrs. Weasley wore a dazzling hat and necklace from the twins. Ginny leaned over to pluck a maggot from Harry's hair, making him flush. They spoke of Tonks. "Her Patronus changed," Harry told Lupin. "It had 4 legs." Lupin evaded the topic. "Emotional upheaval can change a Patronus," he said quietly. Suddenly, Mrs. Weasley gasped. "Arthur, it's Percy and the minister!" Percy entered stiffly, hugging his mother but ignoring the others. Scrimgeour, the new Minister of Magic, smiled politely. "We were in the area," he said. Thought Percy might drop in. Moments later, he requested a walk with Harry. In the snow-covered garden, Scrimgeour said, "People believe you're the chosen one. You give them hope. You should align with the ministry." Harry replied evenly, "You want me to be a mascot." "Appearances matter," Scrimgeour said. "We want you seen at the ministry." "But then it looks like I approve of what you're doing," Harry countered. "Like locking up Stan Shunpike." Scrimgeour bristled. "You're only 16. "Dumbledore doesn't think Stan belongs in Azkaban either," Harry snapped. "You want me to back your mistakes." Their conversation turned tense. "You prefer Dumbledore to the ministry," Scrimgeour said coldly. "Yeah," Harry replied. "I'm Dumbledore's man through and through." He turned and walked back toward the warmth of the burrow, leaving the minister in the snow. Chapter 17. A Sluggish Memory. After the holidays, Harry, Ron, and Ginny returned to Hogwarts through a special flu connection. Mrs. Weasley was emotional as always. "Don't cry, Mum," Ginny said, patting her back. Harry gave her a warm hug. "I always stay out of trouble. You know me." Back at school, Hermione greeted them with news and a parchment from Dumbledore. "Your next lesson with him is tomorrow night," she said, handing it to Harry. They barely had time to talk before Lavender rushed in with a loud, "1-1," and clung to Ron. Hermione led Harry away. "How was Christmas?" Harry asked. "Fine," she replied shortly. "So what did you want to tell me?" Harry recounted the overheard conversation between Snape and Malfoy. "Maybe Snape was just pretending to help," Hermione said cautiously. "But Malfoy mentioned Greyback. That proves something." She admitted it was suspicious. "Still, it could have been an empty threat," Harry sighed. "You'll see, the ministry will eat its words." The next morning, the 6th years discovered they could take apparition lessons. Ron signed up immediately. "I need to pass first try." "Fred and George did," he said. Lavender startled him with another sneak attack, and Hermione stalked off. Ron caught up, red-eared, pretending nothing had happened. Everyone buzzed about apparition that day. In Charms, Seamus accidentally drenched Flitwick while daydreaming of vanishing to annoy his cousin. That evening, Harry hurried to Dumbledore's office. The headmaster was waiting, blackened hand resting by the pensy. "I heard you met the minister," Dumbledore said. "He wanted me to say the ministry's doing a great job. He also tried to follow me," Dumbledore added with a smile. "I had to jinx Dowlish again. Poor man." Harry finally told him about Malfoy and Snape. "Thank you, Harry, but I advise you to forget it," Dumbledore said. Harry frowned. "You really still trust Snape?" "My answer has not changed," Dumbledore replied firmly. "Now, let us continue the story of Tom Riddle." He showed Harry memories of Riddle at Hogwarts. Brilliant, charming, already forming his inner circle. Dumbledore explained how Riddle searched obsessively for his heritage, finally discovering the Gaunt family. In the next memory, Riddle visited his uncle Morphin. The Gaunt hovel was filthy, and Morphin drunkenly mistook Riddle for his Muggle father. "You look like that Muggle," Morphin slurred. Riddle calmly questioned him about his mother and the family ring. "Where's Slytherin's locket?" Morphin growled. As Riddle stepped closer, the room was swallowed in darkness. In the present, Dumbledore explained, Morphin awoke with no memory. Voldemort had killed the Riddle family using Morphin's wand, then altered his memory. "But the Ministry believed him!" Harry cried. "Yes," Dumbledore said grimly. "He confessed and died in Azkaban, still mourning the lost ring." He showed Harry one final memory: Slughorns. In it, a younger Slughorn sat surrounded by students, including the teenage Voldemort. "Sir, I wondered, what do you know about Horcruxes?" Suddenly, fog filled the room. Slughorn's voice boomed, "I don't know anything! Get out!" Back in the office, Dumbledore said, "He altered the memory. He's ashamed. Your task, get the real one." Harry blinked. "Me?" "He won't yield to me," Dumbledore said, "but he has weaknesses, and you might be the one to reach him." As Harry left, Phineas Nigellus scoffed. "Why should the boy succeed where you failed?" Dumbledore replied, "I wouldn't expect you to understand, Phineas." Chapter 18, Birthday Surprises. Harry told Ron and Hermione separately about Dumbledore's assignment to retrieve the true memory from Slughorn. Ron was confident. "He loves you. Just ask him after class." Hermione was wary. If Dumbledore couldn't get it, Slughorn must really want to hide it. Think of a strategy. Their tension deepened when Hermione snapped at Harry over Ron's advice. She avoided both boys in potions, moving to sit by Ernie. Slughorn taught them Golpalot's third law, which Harry did not understand. "You sure the prince hasn't got any tips?" Ron muttered. Harry searched his annotated textbook. At last, he found a scribbled note. "Just shove a Bezoar down their throats." Desperate, Harry retrieved a Bezoar from the cupboard and handed it in instead of a real antidote. Slughorn roared with laughter. "You've got nerve, boy, like your mother." Hermione looked furious. Ron baffled. When class ended, Harry lingered. "Sir, I wanted to ask about Horcruxes." Slughorn's jovial face crumbled. "Dumbledore showed you that memory, didn't he?" "I told him everything I know." He fled before Harry could say more. Ron and Hermione were not sympathetic. "You didn't even give me a Bezoar," Ron grumbled. Harry brooded for days, deciding to lull Slughorn with time. Slughorn seemed to forget the incident, but didn't invite Harry to any more parties. Hermione searched the library and found nothing useful. "Magic Most Evil won't even discuss Horcruxes," she fumed. "Why mention them at all?" The weather turned to cold rain. Apparition lessons began in the Great Hall. Ministry instructor Wilkie Twycross introduced the 3 Ds: destination, determination, deliberation. Harry used the opportunity to sneak behind Malfoy during the chaos. "It's taking longer than I thought," Malfoy whispered to Crabbe. "Just do as you're told." Harry interrupted. "I tell my friends what I'm doing if I want them to keep a lookout." Malfoy spun around, livid, but the teachers called for silence. Harry moved back in place. Apparition attempts mostly failed. On the 4th try, Susan Bones splinched, her legs separated. Twycross calmly explained the dangers. The lesson ended with frustrated students and one traumatized Hufflepuff. Back in the tower, Harry pulled out the Marauder's map. "Help me find Malfoy," he said to Ron. They searched, but Malfoy appeared in the Slytherin common room. "I'll keep watching," Harry vowed. But weeks passed without results. Crabbe and Goyle were often alone, sometimes stationed like guards, but Malfoy would vanish entirely from the map. March arrived. Hogsmeade visits were cancelled due to new disappearances. "It was my birthday trip," Ron moaned. On the morning of March 1st, Harry gifted Ron new keeper's gloves. He returned to his bed with the map and bottle of Felix Felicis. "Malfoy's not on the map again," Harry muttered. Ron didn't respond. He stared dreamily out the window. "I can't stop thinking about her," he said. Harry blinked. "Lavender?" "Romilda Vane." Ron's eyes sparkled. Her shiny hair, her big eyes. "You're joking." "I think I love her." After Ron punched him, Harry used Levicorpus to hoist him upside down. "Where did you get those chocolate cauldrons?" "They fell off your bed," Ron admitted. "They're spiked. Romilda gave them to me before Christmas." Realizing the danger, Harry promised to introduce him to Romilda. Instead, he dragged him to Slughorn's office. "My friend's taken a love potion," Harry explained. "Could you make an antidote?" Slughorn relented. Ron downed the cure and immediately looked horrified. "Back to normal," Harry said, grinning. "He needs a pick-me-up," Slughorn declared. "Let's have a drink of this oak-matured mead." He poured 3 glasses. Ron drank first. Then he collapsed. Foam spilled from his mouth. His limbs jerked. "Do something," Harry shouted. Slughorn froze. Harry dove into the potion kit, found a bezoar, and shoved it into Ron's mouth. Ron convulsed, then went still. Chapter 19, Elf Tales. Ron lay pale in the hospital wing. His family gathered close. Fred joked. "Not one of your better birthdays, eh?" But worry clouded everyone's faces. Harry recounted Ron's poisoning for the 100th time. "I shoved the bezoar down his throat. He started breathing easier. They say he'll be okay." Hermione stayed quiet all day, her expression tight and tearful. Fred, George, Ginny, and the others debated the poison's source. "Could it have been meant for you?" George asked. "Or maybe for Dumbledore," Ginny suggested. Slughorn said it was a gift for him. Hagrid burst in, dripping rain, fresh from the forest. "I don't believe it. Who'd want to hurt Ron?" Hermione spoke at last. "The attacks, Katie Bell and Ron, were probably meant for someone else. The real target's still out there." Later, Hagrid walked Harry and Hermione back, murmuring, "Dumbledore's worried. He argued with Snape about investigating Slytherin. It's like the Chamber of Secrets all over again. Parents might pull their kids." Harry pressed him. "Why was Dumbledore angry with Snape?" Hagrid hesitated. "Snape said he didn't want to do it anymore. Dumbledore reminded him he'd agreed, and he mentioned Snape should be investigating his own house. But don't read too much into it, Harry." Filch appeared, threatening detention, but Hagrid shut him down. Back in the common room, Harry brooded by the fire. Dumbledore trusted Snape, but even he had argued with him. McLaggen appeared. "Weasley's out, right? I'll play keeper." Harry sighed. "Yeah, practice is tomorrow." McLaggen beamed. "We should talk tactics. I have ideas." The next day, gossip of Ron's poisoning spread, but interest shifted to Quidditch. Harry, however, was consumed with Malfoy's vanishing axe on the Marauder's map. Lavender hounded Harry about Ron. "Why hasn't he talked to me?" "Maybe talk to him directly," Harry suggested, weary. "He's always asleep when I visit." Harry blinked. "Really? He's always alert with me." Lavender glared. "Is Hermione still visiting him?" "They're friends," Harry said awkwardly. On match day, Harry stopped by Ron's bedside. "Tell Lavender you don't want to date her," he advised. "Yeah, all right," Ron said sheepishly. "Hermione coming to watch?" "Already down there." As Harry headed to the pitch, he ran into Malfoy with two reluctant-looking girls. "Skipping the match again, Malfoy?" Malfoy sneered. "Better hurry, chosen captain." Harry hesitated, tempted to follow him, but rushed to the game. Ginny greeted him. "Where had you been?" "Saw Malfoy sneaking off." She frowned. "Does it matter now?" Luna was commentating. "Smith has the quaffle." "Oh, Ginny took it. She's lovely." McLaggen barked orders. Harry snapped, "I'm the captain. Shut it." McLaggen stole a beater's bat, tried to show off, and smashed Harry in the head. When Harry awoke, he was in the hospital wing. "I want to kill McLaggen," he groaned. 320-60, Ron said. "Worst loss ever." Ron chuckled. Luna was brilliant, called it loser's lurgy. Harry stared at the ceiling. "I should have followed Malfoy." "You're getting obsessed," Ron warned. Harry sighed. "He disappears from the map. I want him caught." Ron snored as Harry lay thinking. Then a solution. "Creature?" he whispered. With a crack, Creature and Dobby appeared and instantly started fighting. Peeves showed up to cheer them on until Harry hexed him silent. "Stop fighting. Creature, you're forbidden to harm Dobby." "Dobby, I need help." "Dobby will do anything for Harry Potter." "I want you both to follow Malfoy. Report everything. And Creature, you're forbidden to contact or warn him." Creature scowled. "Master thinks of everything." Harry smiled. "Stick to him like wart plasters." Chapter 20. Lord Voldemort's Request. Back at school, Ron was healed and Hermione was friendly again. She told Harry that Ginny had argued with Dean. Something fluttered in Harry's chest. "What about?" he asked casually. "Dean laughed at McLaggen hitting you with that bludger," said Hermione. Harry tried to sound indifferent. "They split up?" "Not yet," Hermione said, eyeing him sharply. "Why so interested?" Harry deflected just as Luna appeared, handing him a scroll. "You've got a message from Dumbledore," she said, then turned to Ron. "That's a Gertie root. You can keep it. Good against gulping plimpies." Ron watched her walk away. "She's mental, but I like her." Lavender appeared then, furious. "Why didn't you tell me you were out?" Ron sat with her at breakfast, but didn't speak. Hermione smiled secretly and even helped Harry with his homework. Later, Harry headed for Dumbledore's office. There he ran into Trelawney, storming out. "You cast me aside for that usurping nag," she cried. Dumbledore sighed. "Please, Harry, sit. Let's resume our lessons." Harry admitted he hadn't retrieved Slughorn's memory. "Did you try your best, Harry?" Dumbledore asked gently but gravely. Harry flushed. "I was distracted. I'm sorry." Dumbledore nodded. "I believe you. But understand, without that memory, we are wasting our time." Harry promised. "I'll get it, sir." "Good. Then let us continue." "I wish to teach," Voldemort said. "You don't want to teach," Dumbledore replied calmly. "You want something else. What is it, Tom?" Voldemort's followers waited nearby. Dumbledore asked directly. "What of your Death Eaters?" "My friends," Voldemort said coldly. Dumbledore pressed him. "Why are you here really?" Voldemort rose, angered. "Is that your final word?" "It is," said Dumbledore. And Voldemort left. Back in the present, Harry asked, "Did he want the defense job again?" "Yes," Dumbledore replied. "And ever since I refused him, the post has been cursed." Chapter 21. The Unknowable Room. Harry obsessed over how to get Slughorn's true memory. Hermione, ever critical of the Half-Blood Prince, said, "You won't find the answer in that book." Harry ignored her, discovering a hex labeled Sectum Sempra, 4 enemies, and marked the page. They were alone by the common room fire. Ron panicked over the apparition test. Hermione corrected his spell-check quill's gibberish-filled essay. "I love you, Hermione." Ron sighed gratefully. "Don't let Lavender hear you," Hermione replied, pink-cheeked. Suddenly, with a crack, Creature appeared. "Master said to report on the Malfoy boy," he croaked. Dobby followed. "Dobby has helped too. Dobby hasn't slept for a week." Hermione looked aghast. "You haven't slept?" Harry waved it off. "So what have you learned?" Dobby explained Malfoy often visited the 7th floor, guarded by disguised students. Harry jumped up. "The Room of Requirement. That's where he's been disappearing on the map," Hermione warned. "You can't get in unless you know exactly what it becomes for him." Harry praised Dobby, dismissed both elves, and turned to Ron and Hermione. "We know where he is. We just have to figure out how to get in." Ron snorted. "Crabbe and Goyle disguised as girls? Brilliant." Hermione urged him back to focus. "Don't forget your mission is Slughorn's memory." The next day, Harry paced the 7th floor corridor, trying many variations. "Show me what Malfoy's doing. Let me into the place he uses." But the door never appeared. Frustrated, he swore aloud. First years fled, thinking he was a ghost. Defeated, Harry went to Defense Against the Dark Arts late. 10 points from Gryffindor, Snape said coldly. Snape mocked Harry and Ron throughout class. Harry stayed silent only because Hermione held him back. Afterward, Ron retreated to the boys' bathroom. Myrtle appeared. "He said he'd come back," she sniffed. "A boy?" Harry asked. Myrtle confirmed someone had been crying in there. Ron joked, "Maybe he lives in an S-bend too." But Myrtle insisted, "He's sensitive, lonely." We understood each other. Later, Ron decided to join the extra apparition practice. The next weekend, while Ron and Hermione went to Hogsmeade, Harry tried the room again. Dressed in his cloak, he startled Goyle, disguised as a little girl. "You're very pretty," Harry whispered. Goyle shrieked and ran. Harry smirked. Malfoy was now trapped inside. He tried more phrasing, but no door appeared. He kicked the wall in frustration and was found by Tonks. She looked pale and sad. "I came to see Dumbledore." "He's away," Harry replied. "You okay?" "Just rumors. People getting hurt," she mumbled. "You haven't had any order letters?" "Not since Sirius," Harry said. Tonks turned away, eyes wet. "I miss him too." She didn't reply, just walked off. Harry stared after her, puzzled. At lunch, Ron was beaming. "I almost apparated to the wrong place, but I moved." Hermione rolled her eyes at his praise. Then Harry told them about seeing Tonks. "I think she loved Sirius," he guessed. Hermione frowned. "Maybe, but why is she wandering the castle when she's supposed to be on duty?" Ron shrugged. "Women, easily upset." Hermione raised a brow. "And yet you sulked for half an hour when Rosmerta didn't laugh at your joke." Ron scowled as Harry laughed. Chapter 22. After the Burial. The sky brightened with early summer, but Harry's mood was heavy. He still hadn't secured Slughorn's memory, nor uncovered Malfoy's secret. Forget Malfoy, Hermione urged. But a note arrived from Hagrid. Aragog was dead. He wanted Harry, Ron, and Hermione to attend the burial. Ron grimaced. That thing tried to eat us, and he wants us to cry over it? Hermione added. We'd get in serious trouble sneaking out. Harry considered it, but eventually agreed not to go. Until later, when Ron suddenly had a bright idea. Use your lucky potion, the Felix Felicis. Hermione gasped. Why didn't we think of it sooner? Harry hesitated, secretly saving it for a romantic chance with Ginny. But he agreed he would try it that night if Slughorn wouldn't budge in class. Later, alone in potions, Harry brewed a perfect elixir to induce euphoria. Slughorn praised it, but as soon as class ended, he bolted. Defeated again, Harry returned to the common room. Ron had failed his apparition test by a hair. Hermione passed. They cheered each other up. That evening, Harry took a careful sip of Felix Felixis. A warm confidence flooded him. I'm going to Hagrid's, he said. What? You're supposed to go to Slughorn, said Hermione. No, trust me, Felix knows what it's doing. Wearing his invisibility cloak, Harry slipped past students, brushing Ginny in the doorway just as she was snapping at Dean. His mood soared. Outside in the twilight, Harry followed a strange instinct. He stopped by the vegetable patch. There, as if fate arranged it, he overheard Slughorn chatting with Professor Sprout. When Sprout left, Harry revealed himself. Hagrid's burying a friend. You could come, pay respects. He'd appreciate it. Slughorn hesitated. Acromantula venom. Valuable stuff. All right, I'll meet you there. At Hagrid's hut, the burial began. Slughorn arrived with wine. As they buried the spider, he sneakily collected venom. After the funeral, they drank to Aragog. Hagrid soon passed out, leaving Harry and Slughorn alone. I've had him since he was an egg, Hagrid had said. Pekingese size. You've got unicorn hair up there? Slughorn asked, spotting treasures. Harry knew it was time. My mom died to save me. Voldemort stepped over my dad's body and offered her a chance to live. She refused. You liked her, didn't you? Slughorn's eyes filled with tears. She was brave, funny, everyone liked her. But you won't help her son, said Harry quietly. I did wrong that day. I'm ashamed. Then do something brave now. Help me. I need that memory. Slughorn looked tormented. Slowly, he drew his wand, extracted a long silvery strand of memory, and dropped it into a vial. You're a good boy, Harry, he said, weeping. You've got her eyes. Don't hate me after you see it. He passed out beside Hagrid. Harry held the bottle. At last, he had it. Papped back into the castle under the waning effects of Felix Felicis, he narrowly avoided Peeves on the third floor and reached the fat lady's portrait only to find her in a huff. What sort of time do you call this? Sorry, had to go out. It was important. Password changed at midnight. Sleep in the corridor. You're joking. Go take it up with the headmaster. Merely headless Nick floated by. He's back. The Bloody Baron saw him arrive. He's in his office. Heart racing, Harry dashed off, the fat lady shouting after him. The password still tapeworm. He sped to Dumbledore's tower, gave the new password, and burst into the headmaster's office. Sir, I've got it. I got the memory from Slughorn. Dumbledore's tired face lit up. Harry, this is spectacular news. Moments later, they leaned over the pensieve and fell into the past. Slughorn's office materialized, warm and inviting. A young Tom Riddle sat among fellow Slytherins, calm, handsome, and dangerous. Slughorn teased him about his flattery and sharpness. You'll be Minister of Magic in 20 years, he said. Riddle just smiled. When the others left, Riddle lingered. Sir, I wondered what you know about Horcruxes. Slughorn froze. He tried to laugh it off as homework, but Riddle pressed with skillful modesty and flattery. Finally, Slughorn gave in. A Horcrux is an object in which a person hides a part of their soul. Murder rips the soul. That piece can then be sealed away. But wouldn't it be better to split the soul more than once? Like into 7 pieces? 7, Slughorn gasped. That's evil beyond evil. Few would want such a fate. Back in the office, Dumbledore was quiet. That confirms it. Voldemort split his soul. Not once, multiple times. Harry asked, "Is that why he didn't die when he tried to kill me? One of his Horcruxes protected him?" Dumbledore nodded. "The diary you destroyed was one. I destroyed another. Marvolo Gaunt's ring." 4 remain. They discussed Voldemort's trophy-seeking nature. He likely used Hufflepuff's cup and Slytherin's locket. Perhaps something of Ravenclaw's or Gryffindor's. Dumbledore suspected Nagini as well. He meant to use your death for his 6th and final Horcrux, but he failed. Years later, he turned Nagini instead. Harry asked, "So if we destroy them all, he can be killed?" "Yes, he becomes mortal, but don't think it will be easy." Harry tried to understand the prophecy again. "It only matters because Voldemort made it matter," Dumbledore said. "He chose to act. You choose too." Harry looked inward. "I'd want him finished. I'd want to do it." Dumbledore nodded. "That's why you'll win." They discussed why Voldemort chose Horcruxes over the Sorcerer's Stone. Horcruxes gave him total control. No dependence, no weakness. Dumbledore shared his findings. "I found a ring hidden in the Gaunt's shack. The curses nearly killed me. Only Snape's help saved me." Harry pressed on. "The other Horcruxes, they could be anything." No, Voldemort would choose objects of power and history. The diary was his proof of lineage, each one a twisted monument to his identity. They returned to the prophecy. "You are not bound by it," Dumbledore insisted. "He made you his equal, not fate, him." Harry realized it was never destiny. It was choice. "I want to finish this," he said, "not because of a prophecy. Because it's right," Dumbledore affirmed. "You walk into the arena with your head held high. That makes all the difference." Harry felt it too, that fierce pride, that resolve, the power Voldemort never understood. Chapter 24. Sectum Sempra. Harry, exhausted but exhilarated, shared everything with Ron and Hermione the next morning. Slughorn's memory, Voldemort's Horcruxes, and Dumbledore's promise to bring him along on the hunt. They were amazed. "You're actually going with Dumbledore, and to destroy them?" Ron breathed. Hermione gently stopped Ron's snowmaking charm, while Lavender glared from across the room. Ron brushed snow off Hermione's shoulder. Lavender burst into tears. "We split up," Ron muttered to Harry. "She thought I was just with Hermione." Hermione added casually, "Ginny and Dean broke up too." Harry asked, as casually as he could, "How come?" "Something silly," Hermione said, smirking. He tried to help her through the portrait hole. That news sparked inner turmoil for Harry, who struggled with his feelings for Ginny and his loyalty to Ron. Katie Bell returned to Hogwarts. Harry questioned her about the cursed necklace. "I remember pushing open the door to the bathroom at the Three Broomsticks," she said. "Someone must have imperioused me from behind." Hermione deduced it must have been a girl or someone disguised with polyjuice potion. Harry considered using Felix Felicis again to access the room of requirement. Hermione objected. Luck can only get you so far. Don't waste it. They looked up the recipe for Felix Felicis. Takes 6 months to brew, Harry noted. Then Harry stumbled on the spell he had marked, Sectum Sempra, 4 enemies. He still hadn't tried it. He considered using it on McLaggen. The Gryffindor team flourished in practices with Katie back and McLaggen gone. Ginny was a radiant presence. Harry found himself laughing with her and looking for ways to be alone with her, even as guilt gnawed at him. Game day approached. If Gryffindor won by more than 300 points, they could take the cup. Harry linked the match to his romantic hopes, wishing for the courage to talk to Ginny. Checking the Marauders' map as usual, Harry finally spotted Malfoy in a boys' bathroom with moaning Myrtle. He rushed there and found Malfoy slumped over a sink, whispering, "I can't do it. He says he'll kill me." Harry stepped in. Malfoy saw him in the mirror, spun, and fired a hex. They dueled furiously, shattering tiles and flooding the room. Malfoy shouted, "Cruci!" Harry bellowed, "Sectum Sempra!" Blood erupted from Malfoy's chest. He collapsed. "No, I didn't. I didn't mean to," Harry gasped, rushing forward. Snape burst in, furious, and healed Malfoy with silent, song-like spells. "You, Potter," he growled, "wait here." Harry stood, drenched and horrified. Snape returned. "Where did you learn that spell?" "A book. A library book," Harry lied. "Liar. Bring me your bag and every schoolbook." Panicking, Harry rushed to Gryffindor Tower, grabbed Ron's potion book instead, and hid the prince's copy deep within the room of requirement. He marked the spot with a bust, wig, and a tarnished tiara. Back in the bathroom, Snape inspected Ron's book. "This yours, Potter?" "Yes." "Then why does it say Runil Waslib?" "Nickname," Snape sneered. "Detention every Saturday, starting this weekend. 10 o'clock. But the Quidditch final." "Poor Gryffindor," Snape smirked. Back in the common room, Hermione started. "I told you about that book." "Leave it," Ron warned. Harry defended the prince. "He didn't say to use the spell. It could have been used on him." Hermione pressed. "You're going back for it?" "Yes," Harry said. "Without the prince, I wouldn't have saved Ron, or made the Felix Felicis." Ginny backed him up. Malfoy was about to use an unforgivable curse. At least Harry had something. Hermione snapped. "That spell almost killed him." "And don't act like you understand Quidditch," Ginny shot back. Harry and Ron gaped as the girls glared. Harry, despite everything, felt an absurd happiness. Saturday arrived. He trudged to Snape's dungeon while the rest of the school went to the final game. Snape set him to copying old punishment files. The hours dragged. Finally dismissed, Harry raced back. In the common room, he heard wild cheering. "We won! 450 to 140, Ron roared, hoisting the cup. Then Ginny ran to Harry, and without a thought, he kissed her in front of everyone. They stood locked in it for what felt like an eternity. Dean gaped. Hermione beamed. Ron stared, then gave a tiny nod. Heart roaring, Harry gestured toward the portrait hole. They walked out together into the spring sunlight. Chapter 25. The seer overheard. Harry and Ginny's romance was the subject of school-wide gossip, but Harry hardly cared. With Ginny at his side, he felt happier than he had in years. "Romilda Vane asked if it was true you've got a hippogriff tattooed on your chest," Ginny said with a smirk. "I told her it was a Hungarian horntail," she added. "Much more macho." "Thanks," said Harry, grinning. What did you tell her Ron's got? A pygmy puff, said Ginny. Didn't say where. Ron turned red, but even Hermione laughed. Their mood dimmed, though, as exams loomed. Ginny spent long evenings studying. One night, Hermione sat beside Harry and Ron with a serious look. I want to talk about the half-blood prince. Harry groaned. Not this again. You've not heard me out, she insisted. She showed him an old newspaper photo, a scowling girl named Eileen Prince. So, she might be the half-blood prince. If her father was a wizard and her mother a muggle, she'd be half a prince. Harry laughed. I just know it was a bloke. It's the way he writes. Hermione huffed. You don't think a girl could be that clever? I've known you for 5 years, Harry said, affronted. I'm just saying it feels like a guy. Hermione stormed off to find more on Eileen Prince. Ron rolled his eyes. She's just sore you're better than her in potions. Harry sighed. Do you think I'm mad, wanting the prince's book back? Of course not. Without the Bezoar tip, I'd be dead. Just then, Jimmy Peakes brought a message. From Dumbledore, wants to see you. Ron looked up. You think he found one? A Horcrux? Harry sprinted through the quiet castle, only to hear a scream. He found Professor Trelawney on the floor, sherry bottles strewn around her. He helped her up. What happened? I tried to hide personal items in the room of requirement. Someone was already inside. Who? No idea. I heard whooping, male, gleeful. Then I was thrown out. Harry's mind raced. Malfoy had fixed whatever he was working on. Trelawney rambled on about her seer gifts. Then she mentioned something that stopped Harry cold. I was once interrupted during an interview with Dumbledore by Severus Snape. Snape? Harry whispered. Yes, he claimed he took a wrong turn. I believe he was eavesdropping. Harry ran, fury and shock exploding inside him. He banged on Dumbledore's door and burst in before being invited. Dumbledore was by the window, a traveling cloak over his arm. Well, Harry, I promised you could come with me. Harry struggled to process it all. You found a Horcrux? I believe so. In the cave where Tom Riddle once took 2 children. Harry barely heard. His voice rose. It was Snape. He told Voldemort about the prophecy. Dumbledore grew grave. He didn't know who it referred to. When he realized, he was full of remorse. Harry shouted, He hated my dad. Everyone he hates ends up dead. Dumbledore said, firmly, I trust Severus Snape completely. I don't, Harry exploded. He's working with Malfoy right now, and you're just going to leave the school? Dumbledore cut him off. Do not suggest I've left the school unprotected. Tonight is no different. Harry, chastened, said, I want to come with you. Then listen. You must obey any command I give without hesitation, even if I tell you to run or leave me. Harry swallowed hard. Yes, sir. Fetch your cloak. Meet me in 5 minutes. Back in the common room, Harry told Ron and Hermione everything. He won't be here tonight, Harry said urgently. Malfoy's got his chance. He gave Hermione the Marauder's map and told her to use the DA to keep watch. He handed Ron the Felix Felicis. Take this, split it with Ginny. Say goodbye for me. You take it, Hermione said, panicked. You need it. I'll be fine. I'm with Dumbledore. He vanished out the portrait hole. Dumbledore waited at the front steps. Wear your cloak. They set off into the warm night. Harry, breathless and burning with emotion, followed under the cloak. Dumbledore led him to Hogsmeade, past the 3 broomsticks and toward the Hog's Head. We don't need to enter, Dumbledore said. Take my arm. They disapparated. The world compressed. Harry couldn't breathe. Then, suddenly, they stood on a salty, wind-swept cliff beside the sea. Chapter 26. The Cave. Harry and Dumbledore apparated to a windswept cliff by a dark, churning sea. The sky shimmered with stars above jagged rock. Dumbledore pointed to a fissure in the cliff. "We go through there," he said. They descended slippery rocks to the base of the cliff and plunged into the freezing water. Swimming into a narrow tunnel, they emerged in a vast, eerie cave. Dumbledore dried Harry with magic and examined the walls. "This place has known magic," he said, then revealed a hidden doorway with a blood sacrifice, slashing his own arm. Inside, a great black lake stretched into darkness. At its center, a faint green glow shimmered. Harry tried summoning the Horcrux, but a massive shape stirred beneath the water. Dumbledore guessed inferi, undead guardians of Voldemort's protections. They discovered a hidden chain and summoned a small ghostly boat. As they crossed the lake, white hands and pale faces stirred beneath them. Dumbledore explained Voldemort underestimated youthful magic. Harry wouldn't trigger the enchantment limits. Reaching a small island, they found a stone basin filled with glowing green potion. Dumbledore concluded the Horcrux must lie beneath. "It has to be drunk," he said solemnly. Harry protested, but Dumbledore insisted. "You must make me drink it all, no matter what. That is your task." As Harry watched, Dumbledore drank. At first, nothing happened. Then he cried out in agony. The potion tormented him with fear, guilt, and terrible visions. "Don't make me," he begged. "Let me die." Trembling, hating himself, Harry obeyed Dumbledore's wishes, forcing each goblet into his mouth. With every sip, Dumbledore grew weaker, his pain more unbearable. When the basin was finally emptied, Dumbledore collapsed, barely breathing. "Water," he gasped. Harry tried conjuring water, but it vanished before he could bring it to Dumbledore's lips. Desperate, he dipped the goblet into the lake. The inferi awoke. Pale, bloated bodies rose from the water, cold hands grabbing Harry. Dragging him toward the lake, he fought back with spells, but they were immune. One seized him, carrying him into the depths. Suddenly, a ring of fire erupted around the island. Dumbledore, barely conscious, had conjured a wall of flame, holding back the inferi. "Fire, Harry," he had said. "They fear warmth and light." Dumbledore retrieved the Horcrux, a locket, from the basin. Wordlessly, he and Harry returned to the boat. Harry helped the weakened headmaster back to shore. The inferi didn't follow. "You did well, Harry," Dumbledore murmured. "Very well." Harry gave his blood to open the entrance again and guided Dumbledore back into the cold sea passage. "It's going to be all right, sir," Harry whispered as they swam toward freedom. "I am not worried, Harry," Dumbledore replied faintly. "I am with you." Chapter 27. The Lightning-Struck Tower. Harry apparated with Dumbledore to Hogsmeade. As they landed in the dark street, Harry whispered, breathless, "We did it, Professor. We got the Horcrux." Dumbledore was pale, weakened from the potion. He staggered, murmuring, "Not Madame Pomfrey. I need Severus." Before Harry could act, footsteps approached. Madame Rosmerta, in her dressing gown. "I saw you arrive. What's wrong with Albus?" Dumbledore raised his head. "The dark mark above the school. Rosmerta, brooms." Harry summoned them. Moments later, they were flying fast through the night sky, the green skull and serpent glinting above the astronomy tower. Harry's heart pounded. Who had died? Had Ron, Hermione, or Ginny fallen? He had sent them to patrol. They landed on the tower. The ramparts were empty. Dumbledore, barely standing, whispered, "Wake Severus. Bring him here. Do nothing else." Harry turned to obey, but the door burst open. Expelliarmus! Harry's body locked in place, immobilized. He fell back against the wall. Dumbledore's wand flew over the battlements. Harry realized with horror Dumbledore had paralyzed him. Draco Malfoy stepped into view, pale and shaking. "Good evening, Draco," Dumbledore said. Draco confessed the Death Eaters were in the castle. He had fixed the vanishing cabinet, connecting it to Borgin and Burke's. "You let them in," Dumbledore murmured. "Ingenious." Draco aimed his wand. "I have to kill you. He'll kill me otherwise. My whole family." "You're not a killer, Draco. Let me help you." The tower door burst open. 4 Death Eaters arrived: Alecto, Amicus, Greyback, and another brutal man. Greyback growled. "Plenty of kids here, Dumbledore. I like them young." Dumbledore remained calm. "Draco, this is your choice. You have options." Malfoy hesitated. His hand shook. "Do it," the brutal man growled. "Now." Draco couldn't. Then the door slammed again. Snape entered. "We've got a problem," said Amicus. "The boy can't do it." Dumbledore spoke softly. "Severus, please." Snape stepped forward. His face twisted with hatred. "Severus, please." Snape raised his wand. Avada Kedavra. A jet of green light. Dumbledore flew into the air, suspended for a breathless moment beneath the dark mark. Then he fell, silently, backward over the battlements. Chapter 28. Flight of the Prince. Harry stood frozen as Snape and the Death Eaters fled. The shock of Dumbledore's fall numbed his limbs. Then the spell lifted, and he moved. "Petrificus totalis," he shouted, freezing a retreating Death Eater. He tore down the stairs, desperate to catch Snape, believing if he reached him something could be undone. The castle was in chaos. Fighting raged as spells shattered walls and ceilings. He passed blood, bodies, Ginny dueling Amicus, McGonagall and Lupin locked in battle. Harry stunned Amicus, then plunged onward. Snape and Malfoy were ahead. As Harry pursued them through the crumbling corridors, he ran into Neville, curt but alive. Snape and Malfoy ran past. Neville gasped. Harry darted outside, past terrified students and fallen rubble. The front doors had been blasted open. Snape, Malfoy, and another Death Eater fled toward the gates. Hagrid had joined the fray. His hut blazed behind him as spells flew. Harry chased, yelling curses. Snape deflected each one with ease, never attacking. "Fight back!" Harry roared. "Coward!" Snape turned, enraged. "Don't call me coward!" They dueled in firelight. Harry's spells were blocked again and again. "You dare use my own spells against me? I am the Half-Blood Prince." Harry lunged for his wand, but Snape blasted it away. He stood over Harry, seething. "Kill me, then, like you killed him." Snape's scream echoed as he slashed the air, sending Harry flying. Suddenly, Buckbeak attacked from the sky. Snape fled, disappearing beyond the castle gates. Harry staggered to Hagrid's burning hut. The half-giant emerged, carrying Fang. "Ya all right, Harry?" "I'm fine. We have to put out the fire." Together, they doused the flames with water spells. As Hagrid looked at the wreckage, Harry said hoarsely, "He's dead. Snape killed him." Hagrid froze. "Snape? Killed? Dumbledore?" "I saw it." "No," Hagrid murmured, shaking his head. "He must have had orders. Had to keep his cover." Harry didn't argue. As they approached the castle, they saw people gathered. At the base of the astronomy tower lay Dumbledore's body. Harry knelt beside him, adjusting his glasses, wiping blood from his face. The greatest wizard he had ever known was gone. A small object had fallen from Dumbledore's robes. The locket. Harry opened it. It was a fake. Inside was a note. To the Dark Lord, I know I will be dead long before you read this, but I want you to know that it was I who discovered your secret. I have stolen the real Horcrux and intend to destroy it as soon as I can. I face death in the hope that when you meet your match, you will be mortal once more. R.A.B. Harry crumpled the note, numb with fury and despair. Dumbledore had sacrificed everything for a decoy. Behind him, Fang howled. Chapter 29, The Phoenix Lament. Harry didn't want to leave. He remained kneeling beside Dumbledore's body, unmoving. Hagrid's trembling hand tried to pull him away. Come on, Harry. No. But a smaller, warmer hand found his. Ginny. Without thinking, he let her lead him back into the castle. Rubies from the Gryffindor hourglass glittered on the floor like drops of blood. The entrance hall was full of whispers and sobs. We're going to the hospital wing, Ginny said. I'm not hurt. It's McGonagall's orders. Ron, Hermione, and the others are there. Fear spiked in Harry. Who else is dead? None of us. Malfoy stepped over a body. Bill. Greyback got him. Harry's stomach twisted. Is he? He's alive, Ginny said, voice shaking, but Madame Pomfrey says he won't look the same again. In the hospital wing, Harry saw Bill's mauled face. Madame Pomfrey dabbed at the cursed wounds. No charm can heal werewolf bites, she said. But Greyback wasn't transformed, Ron said. He won't become a... Lupin answered gravely. No, but the wounds may never fully heal. Bill may inherit wolfish traits. Ginny whispered, Dumbledore's dead. Lupin collapsed into a chair, hands over his face. No one spoke. Snape killed him, Harry said. I saw it. Hermione gasped. Ron groaned. Luna looked stunned. Even Madame Pomfrey sobbed. But then everyone froze. A phoenix was singing, a mourning cry that filled them with aching sorrow and a strange peace. They listened in silence, Fawkes's lament echoing through the castle. Then Professor McGonagall entered, wounded but composed. Molly and Arthur are on their way, she said. Harry, what happened? Snape killed Dumbledore, Harry repeated. McGonagall swayed. Pomfrey conjured her a chair. Lupin was furious. Snape, he fooled Dumbledore. He was always a master occlumens. He swore Snape's repentance was genuine, McGonagall whispered. He trusted him completely. Harry told them about the prophecy, how Snape had given Voldemort the information that led to his parents' deaths. Dumbledore believed he was sorry. Harry said bitterly. Tonks was silent. McGonagall wrung her handkerchief. I summoned Snape myself tonight, she muttered. I told him Death Eaters were in the castle. Ron, Ginny, and Hermione explained how Malfoy used Peruvian instant darkness powder to sneak Death Eaters past their watch. Luna and Hermione had been misled by Snape, who stupefied Flitwick and lied to them. Lupin and Tonks recalled the battle. Gibbon died from his own side's curse, Lupin said. Snape ran straight through the cursed barrier without harm. He must have had a dark mark, Harry said coldly. He finished what he came to do. Suddenly, Mr. and Mrs. Weasley arrived with Fleur. Seeing Bill's face, Mrs. Weasley began to cry. He was going to be married, she said. You think he won't want me now? Fleur snapped. I am beautiful enough for both of us. I will marry him. Mrs. Weasley was stunned. Then, to everyone's amazement, she offered Auntie Muriel's goblin-made tiara. Fleur nodded stiffly. That will be lovely. The two women embraced, crying. Ron gaped. Harry blinked. Tonks, emboldened, turned to Lupin. She still wants to marry Bill. I still want you. Lupin looked away. You deserve better. I'm too old. Too dangerous. Young men don't stay whole. said Mr. Weasley, glancing at Bill. McGonagall interrupted. Dumbledore would have been happier to see more love in the world. Hagrid entered, soaked with tears. I've moved him, he said brokenly. Sprout got the kids to bed. Flitwick's down, but he'll be fine. Slughorn informed the ministry. McGonagall called a meeting with the heads of houses and asked Harry to join her. They went to Dumbledore's office. There, his portrait now hung among the others, eyes closed in peaceful sleep. Fawkes was gone. The office looked unchanged, except for the absence. Harry, McGonagall said gently, what were you and Dumbledore doing tonight? I can't tell you, Harry replied. He told me not to. McGonagall was stunned. Things have changed, Harry. Not that, said Harry, but Rosmerta was under the Imperious Curse. She helped Malfoy. The other heads arrived. McGonagall proposed that the school might need to close. Dumbledore would want it to stay open, said Sprout. Parents may not, countered Slughorn. Harry interrupted. What about Dumbledore's funeral? Everyone agreed it would be at Hogwarts. The students would stay until then. McGonagall spotted Scrimgeour approaching the castle. Can I go? Harry asked quickly. She nodded. He left before the minister could question him. The corridors were empty. The fat lady wept as she opened for him. Inside the common room, everyone stared at him. Without a word, he climbed to the dormitory. Ron sat on his bed waiting. Did you get it? Harry shook his head, pulled out the locket, and handed it over. Someone took it already. Left a fake. R.A.B., Ron read. Who's that? Don't know, Harry said, lying back, numb. Fawkes's song had stopped. The Phoenix was gone. Chapter 30. The White Tomb. All lessons were suspended and exams postponed. Some students left with their parents. Others stayed for Dumbledore's funeral. Seamus refused to go, determined to stay. Visitors began arriving, including the ministry and a giant carriage from Beauxbatons. Madame Maxime embraced Hagrid tearfully. Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Ginny clung to each other in grief. Harry delayed breaking off his relationship with Ginny. Her presence comforted him more than anything else. They visited Bill in the hospital wing. He was healing, though scarred. Fleur remained devoted. Lucky he is marrying me, she said brightly. Even Mrs. Weasley approved now. That evening, Hermione whispered to Harry, I found something about R.A.B. Harry straightened, but she hadn't solved the mystery yet. Instead, she shared that Snape's mother was Eileen Prince. Snape was the half-blood prince. Harry felt sick. A murderer, just like Voldemort, half-blood, ashamed, gave himself a title. Hermione tried to comfort him. None of us could have guessed it was Snape. They fell into silence, awaiting the funeral. The next day, dressed in formal robes, they followed McGonagall to the lake. A marble table awaited at the front, where Dumbledore's body would be laid. Faces from every corner of the magical world appeared. Ministry officials, the Order of the Phoenix, Hogwarts staff. Students, even centaurs and merpeople. Fawkes sang no more, but the merpeople offered a haunting lament. Then Hagrid appeared, weeping as he carried Dumbledore's wrapped body and laid it gently on the table. A speaker gave a brief, stiff eulogy, praising Dumbledore's intellect and heart. It meant little to Harry. He clutched the fake Horcrux, unable to hold back tears. Without warning, white flames consumed the body and table. When the fire vanished, a white tomb stood in its place. Arrows soared in salute from the forest. The centaurs vanished. The merpeople sank back below the water. Ginny looked at Harry with fire in her eyes, understanding him completely. Ginny, he said quietly, we have to stop. Voldemort uses people I care about. She didn't cry. It's for some stupid, noble reason, isn't it? I care too much to risk you, he said. I couldn't bear to lose you. Ginny nodded. I always hoped, even when I was trying not to. Hermione told me to move on, but I never really did. Harry tried to smile. I should have asked you sooner. But you've been too busy saving the world, she teased softly. I knew it would end like this. Harry turned and walked away, needing motion, needing to escape the grief. Scrimgeour intercepted him, full of false sympathy. We were devastated. You were with him that night. Arrows soared in salute from the forest. The centaurs vanished. The mer people sank back below the water. Ginny looked at Harry with fire in her eyes, understanding him completely. Ginny, he said quietly, we have to stop. Voldemort uses people I care about. She didn't cry. It's for some stupid noble reason, isn't it? I care too much to risk you, he said. I couldn't bear to lose you. Ginny nodded. I always hoped, even when I was trying not to. Hermione told me to move on, but I never really did. Harry tried to smile. I should have asked you sooner. But you've been too busy saving the world, she teased softly. I knew it would end like this. Harry turned and walked away, needing motion, needing to escape the grief. Scrimgeour intercepted him, full of false sympathy. We were devastated. You were with him that night. Harry was cold. It's my business. Scrimgeour offered aura protection. Harry refused. You still want me as your poster boy? Harry asked. Scrimgeour scowled. To lift morale. Release Stan Shunpike yet? Scrimgeour turned purple. I'm Dumbledore's man through and through, Harry said. That's right. Scrimgeour stormed off. Ron and Hermione caught up to Harry. What did he want? Hermione asked. Same as always. Information, loyalty, Harry muttered. Ron cracked. Let me go punch Percy. No, Hermione scolded. Even so, they smiled. As they looked at the castle, Hermione said, I can't bear the thought of never coming back. Harry replied, I'm not coming back, even if it does reopen. Hermione nodded. I knew. Harry planned to visit the Dursleys once more, as Dumbledore had wished, then go to Godric's Hollow, where it all began. Then I'll find the Horcruxes, he said, and kill Voldemort. That's what Dumbledore wanted. Ron stepped forward. We're coming too. Harry blinked. No, you don't have to. We've had time to back out, said Hermione. We're with you. After Bill and Fleur's wedding, Ron reminded. Mum'll kill us if we skip that. Harry finally smiled. His hand closed around the locket, a cold weight. But even through grief and duty, he felt his heart lift. One last golden day of peace remained.